We can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Gaines trying to clear it out, but Siegenthaler will find it. They played up for Nason. Nason can't get it around Slavin. What a play by Jacob Slavin. Slavin goes short side. He scores! Roll the highlight reel. What a play off goal. Jacob Slavin puts Carolina up 2-0.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Victoria is here.
Yes.
I trust you had a great weekend. If for no other reason you weren't driving back from Chicago.
I didn't get in a car not one time this weekend.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
I'm a fan of that.
You have an assistant today. Look at that. Max
I know,
is here.
I do.
Wearing a Hurricanes hat.
I'm teaching things.
Very nice.
So,
a Hurricanes hat and a Whalers t-shirt. Feeling it after a Game 4 win.
I mean, we should. That was a great win. That was a great win despite some
It was a great win.
activities.
There's a lot going on in that game.
Yeah.
And we will talk about it. It was an otherwise just spectacular weekend. I mean, we had great weather.
Weather was awesome.
I know there were like little pockets of thunder, right? But for the most part, I think we had great weather.
Yeah.
And obviously a great outcome yesterday. Mm-hmm. Friday night, not so much, right? Later start, overtime, and a smidge.
Yeah, that
took
hurt.
us into a second overtime. Yeah, didn't like the way that ended. But we like to say the team that deserves to win won. Mm-hmm. Devils were the better team in Game 3. Carolina bounced back very nicely yesterday. The draft is now over. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly certain that Shedeur Sanders was picked, although maybe that was a prank.
I know.
Maybe the Cleveland Browns pranked him in the 5th round. I have no idea.
The Browns are full of jokes, so.
Well, they are the Browns. So, for those people who don't know, apparently the son of an Atlanta Falcons executive had Shedeur's cell number, or maybe it was Dion's. I don't know the exact parts here, but posed as I think it was New Orleans Mickey Loomis, the GM, whatever his title is, and said, we're drafting you.
Not good.
And that was just fake.
Yeah.
And that's worse than ordering a pizza.
Yeah.
And delivering it to somebody's house.
Right.
That's way worse than that.
Putting anchovies on it. No, it's way past April Fools. I don't know what they were doing.
That's uncool.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're that's like real life emotions. I'm not a fan of that. Anyway, we'll talk about the draft. The Panthers, depending on who you believe, Mel Kiper gave them a C+. The Athletic ranked them 10th of 32. So what's that? That's probably
it's not a C.
B+.
Yeah.
And CBSSports.com gave the Panthers an A-. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's all based on how non-football executives had their own draft board. Look, I get it. Mel Kiper's got a draft board. This is how he made his bones.
Yeah.
Mel Kiper produced the draft guide out of the den of his house back in the late 70s, early 80s, and has become wealthy as a result of his obsession with the NFL draft. So I'm not even saying Mel's right.
Yeah.
But this is the only thing he's ever really done.
I wonder if our friend Jeremy Green has a den too, a draft den.
He drives around with it.
Yeah.
He definitely does. Actually, I'll have to check with him to see how his draft guide, if he would give the Panthers an A-, a B+, a C-. I don't know. I frankly have no clue. I do know that some of the players jumped off the page. We're going to talk to Michael Kaye, who covers the team for the Charlotte Observer, in our second hour. I do have some thoughts that we will get to in just a few minutes. We got to talk about the hockey game. We got to talk about Shedeur Sanders dropping to the 5th round. He wasn't even the first quarterback the Browns took.
I know. Wow.
Mel Kiper said he had Sanders as the 5th best player in the draft and QB1. Wow. I'm not even arguing. He might be right.
He got the 5th part right, just the 5th round.
He did. Clearly something else was at play here. Yeah. It had nothing to do with whether or not Shedeur Sanders could play. All the people who hate with a capital hate the way Dion and his kids present themselves. I don't. But for the people who do, every single one of them said, well, that's what happens when you act that way and you're no good. If you think he's no good, you're a fool. An absolute fool. It's not that he's no good or great or anything. He clearly has ability to play the position in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be great. He's going to be an NFL quarterback, whether it's a career backup or a starter or a Pro Bowler. No clue. He's super accurate. He's got a good enough arm. He moves well enough. He's just not the runner that some of the other guys are. I get it. You would look at him and go, man, it's Shedeur Sanders. He's Dion's kid. He's got to be a runner, right? Don't tell on yourself. He's really more of a thrower. And look, we don't know what happened. It's clear. I think Mike Felder might have been right when we talked to him on Friday. When Felder said the NFL doesn't like it when you don't need them. And the way that Sanders acted, likely, because none of us were there, the way that Sanders acted in a lot of these meetings and workouts was not the way. He was the anti-Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was made out of like a Hollywood studio for what the NFL wants in their quarterbacks. Talks only in cliches, just loves ball, all of that. And Shedeur Sanders, who I'm sure loves to play football, he didn't need the league. Financially didn't need the league. Anyway, the Browns might have gotten the ultimate steal here, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I did joke on Twitter to make light of the situation that the Cleveland Browns, their quarterback room is the equivalent to our wide receiver room now because we've got all of them.
Yes, that's true.
They have 5 quarterbacks in their room, and we have all the wide receivers.
They have 5 quarterbacks in their room, and one of them is Joe Flacco.
It is. And Kenny Pickett.
And Kenny.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. By the way, it's almost certain that Flacco is going to be their game 1 starter, and Pickett will be their backup.
Yeah. And then Watson's just there being Watson.
He's on IR.
Taking up space.
He's on IR. He tore his Achilles at the end of the season. He's not going to play.
No.
And I'll say this now. Deshaun Watson's never going to play another down for the Browns.
Oh,
ever.
No.
Ever. And they'll be better for it. But they've got 2 young quarterbacks because they also drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, but whatever. If you knew you were going to draft Shedeur Sanders,
yeah,
and maybe they didn't know. Maybe there was 5th round. We got nobody else to take.
Might as well take you.
Exactly.
Come along.
All right, so we'll get to that too, even though I've just have have spieled on it for about 6 minutes. You ready? Let's go. All right, so the Carolina Hurricanes beat the New Jersey Devils 5-2 in the fourth game of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal series. They lead 3-1, and game number 5 will be Tuesday. Hey, we're closing in on a normal start time for the Hurricanes, 7:30. Yay, 7:30.
That is like old times.
I am sure that the team was like, they're going to stick us at 6 again. But there's only 3 games tomorrow.
Yeah.
By the way, tonight, do we have 2 good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa and Florida, game 4 there with the Lightning trying to win in Florida, down at Florida to try to even that series. And Colorado, Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, that's a spicy one, too.
Game 5 in Dallas tonight. Yes. That has been a great series. We're just doing a little bit of housekeeping in front of everybody. Do you have the TNT call of the Slavin goal? Okay, we have that. All right, so we're going to get to that in a second. So, first of all, if you're a Hurricanes fan, thank me for the Game 4 win. How do we do this, Victoria?
You bought it.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. I was sick and tired of losing to the Devils, even though it only happened once.
Yeah.
And I thought the best way to make this happen was to put a very, very small monetary wager on the Devils to win.
Good job.
Because I knew as soon as I hit place wager that the Hurricanes were guaranteed to win the game.
Might as well burn it.
100% guaranteed. So, you're welcome. All right, now, Andre was plus 150 Devils. I'm blown away by this, but obviously the Hurricanes are good.
Are there any bets on Myers being out of the series for the rest of the time?
No, there's going to be no supplemental discipline at all.
No.
We're done. We've heard the last of this until somebody, knocks Timo Myers or Timo Meyer into the benches during Game 5.
All right, KK.
Yeah. Do something, right? The headline, Andrei Svechnikov and his hat trick. Second in Hurricanes history. The other, also Andrei Svechnikov. This happened, I believe, in bubble hockey against the Rangers, right? Now, Andrei was very good. So, full marks to Andrei. First goal, kind of a gift. Second goal, really the play was made by Jarvis. Great shot pass. But credit for the finish because that puck was in the air. That was not on the ice. That was a dynamite finish by Andrei. He didn't get a lot of it, but he got enough of it. It didn't bang into the back of the net.
Yeah.
It just sort of bounced in, and that's fine. But the fact that Jarvis made it look like a shot meant that Markstrom could not get over. The back door was wide open.
I was really hoping we were going to have a butt-sliding Jarvie goal. I wanted that.
Well, on Friday night.
Friday night, if he would have gotten that, it was fantastic. I loved it.
It didn't miss by a lot.
No.
It was just a little high. Yes, if he had scored that, the game would have been over.
Yes.
And that would have been the greatest goal we've ever seen until what happened yesterday, and we will get to that. So, credit to Andrei, played a good game. He had not only 6 shots on goal, 5 hits, and we saw what Rod Brindamore did with the forward lines. I don't know if he's going to go back to what he had been more comfortable with at the start of the series, but what I would do if I were Rod, and I have been pretty much wrong all the time, what I would do if I were Rod is the lines I used yesterday, I would at least start the game with tomorrow. I thought they were good, and I think Stahl, Martinook, and Carrier as a pair to use as a shutdown line actually works really well. And it makes your fourth line with Jankowski, Robinson, and Stankoven, I think it makes them more offensive. For my money, that was Carolina's best line. I thought they were excellent against the Devils. Now, New Jersey is complaining about the lack of production from their bottom 2 scoring lines or bottom 2 forward lines. I get it. They're not getting anything out of it, but they also weren't getting out of their own end when Jankowski and company were on the ice. All right, so we're either talking about the Svechnikov thing or we're talking about the Timo Meier hit. I'll just explain to you what I saw, and then we will let Paul Bissonnette from TNT tell you what he saw. So it's 3-1. Devils are pushing back a little bit. It's still relatively early in the second period. Carolina scored the first goal on the power play in the third period to make it 3-0. Then Nico Hischier scored a little bit of a broken play that we could get into later. I did talk about that play specifically on the Canes Corner podcast, which you can subscribe to, and it shows up automatically in your feed. You can get it on YouTube. It's great. Just go to YouTube and search Canes Corner, and you get to it. So there's a much more full breakdown of the goal then. But not too long after that, Timo Meier is skating in, trying to, execute a scoring play. He has every right to do what he is doing. He has every right to go into the crease because the puck is there. What he doesn't have the right to do is deliver a shoulder to the chest/chin of Frederik Andersen. And what I could not believe is that anybody with sense would say that, well, Andrei Svechnikov, he pushed him into Andersen. No, he did not. And Meier, his momentum had stopped. So even if there is contact with Andersen, which I would say is very likely, it doesn't have to be the contact that we saw, because Meier finished his check, if you will. It wasn't violent. There was nothing malicious about it, but it was very intentional.
Yeah.
And if you're Meier, you know what you're doing.
Of course.
Andersen, all of Andersen's best saves have been on you, except for one he made on Jesper Bratt right before New Jersey made it 2-0 in Game 3. It's an amazing save on Bratt. But Meier's, he could easily have 4 goals in the series, and he has 1. Freddie has owned Timo Meier. I don't know, and I said this last night, I don't know if there is beef between the Swiss and the Danes.
Maybe.
I don't know. I know there's chocolate. I don't know if there's beef.
Right?
I have no idea why I used that joke twice. Used it last night.
It's good.
Thank you.
Maybe someone missed it.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there Danish chocolate? I think they're Danish cookies.
Yes.
We have Danish cookies for sure.
Well, and there's also just Danishes. Like
that is true, but I don't think that's Danish.
No.
By the way, the Danish cookies come in that blue tin.
Ooh,
boy,
yeah.
those were a staple growing up, as you can tell. Look, the way they adjudicated on the ice, after missing the fact that it should have been a minor penalty, and there's no doubt that it should have been a minor penalty, but the way they adjudicated it on the ice was proper. Like, I understand how you could miss that call in real time because, it was a scoring play with the puck right in front of you. What were the officials doing? So there's an official near the goal. You saw it. You were there.
Yeah.
Contact, shoulder, into the goaltender, driving him back into the net.
Yeah.
How was that not a 2-minute minor call immediately? But when they blew that, I think this is the way it works. When they blew that and they saw there was an injury on the play, they called a 5-minute major. That was never a 5-minute major.
No.
We would lose our minds if they called a 5-minute major on a Hurricane in that situation because nothing rose to the level of that kind of a penalty. But I'm not sure there is room to go from 5-minute major to calling it a 2-minute minor because no penalty was called on the play. It was called after the fact because there was an injury. So I don't think there's any middle ground, which might be a mistake in the rule, and they just said no penalty.
Whoops.
Which, of course, is a joke.
Yeah.
It should have been a penalty. Anyway, so there's that. And I know that my text thread blew up with, we got to run Markstrom. I get it. You know what the best response is winning the game.
Yeah.
And if you start running around and try to play the eye for an eye deal, now I think you're getting out of your game. Carolina needs to play their game. So all of that. Now, we talked about my view of the Meyer play. Here's Paul Bissonnette on TNT.
I think the fact that it wasn't a 2-minute minor is an absolute joke. They're going to argue Svechnikov was the reason that he collided into him. The amount of velocity that Meyer was going to the blue paint with, if anything, it prevented him and slowed him down and then turned his blade into a stopping motion. We're not talking about meeting Anderson at the top of the crease either. We're talking about being 4 feet inside the crease and making contact. By no means is this malicious by Timo Meyer, but the fact that they didn't call this a 2-minute minor is a joke. And I think that Carolina gets hosed, and Rob Brind'Amour has a reason to be frustrated. But credit to Timo Meyer, the same guy who bumped into him. As soon as he gets that opportunity with the puck on the wall, he just throws it on net, and it ends up going in. So they're taking advantage of the situation, but I think it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Bissonnette, everybody on the panel agreed with Paul. It should have been a 2-minute minor. All right. By the way, Pyotr Kochetkov came on. This is one way to get him into the series. I thought he should have played. I would have played him in Game 3, but I thought in retrospect, thinking it through, Rod was probably right going with Freddie in Game 3. I would have come back with Kochetkov yesterday, but Rod is also saying Freddie's playing great, and it's clear that he doesn't have great confidence in Pyotr, which I get because Pyotr hadn't been good for about a month. But after allowing a really terrible goal.
Such a soft goal.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. I was
awful.
worried.
After that, played really well.
Mm-hmm.
Full marks to Kochetkov. Also, I think Corey Lavalette did a good Q&A with him after the game. I was reading through it. I love the kid. I hope he figures the whole thing out.
Me too.
And can become a more consistent goaltender. He may never be the surefire number one goalie that we want him to be, but I think he's got a great sense of who he is and all of that. And
he's so fun.
Oh, he is. He is definitely.
And now he's
fun.
our translator.
Yeah, exactly. All right. There's a lot of other things to talk about. I just want to get to one more thing. We talked about Svech. We talked about the Meyer hit on Freddie. And there's a bunch of other things about the game we could get to. But we have to talk about the play. So, Jacob Slavin's steal, when he takes the puck from Steph Nason in the first period, middle of the first period, after a great shift, I think it was started by the Jankowski line. When Slavin steals the puck and he knocks it down out of midair and he reaches around Nason to poke the puck past him to himself, that in and of itself is a highlight.
So good.
And then the goal. It was amazing. Again, back to TNT.
And it comes free to the Devils. Siegenthaler will get to Nason. He's checked by Slavin. They don't get it out of the zone. Here's Slavin holding. And from the angle, it's shot. He scores! Slavin off the steal beats Markstrom up high. The Canes have a 2-0 lead. Not quite halfway through period number one.
Well, it's been all Carolina. Jacob Slavin, known as one of the best defensive sticks in the league, knocks this puck out of the air and then goes on the offensive. And the Hurricanes, Nason just can't clear. Watch, he's going to try and chip it out. There's the block stick by Slavin. Quick little chip to himself. And how about this shot? Right upstairs over the right shoulder of Markstrom to give Carolina the 2-0 lead.
Over the shoulder, behind the head, behind the ear.
So good.
Back bar. Unbelievable. And I am annoyed at the head coach. I hope Rod's listening. Because after the game, he was like, well, it was a lucky goal. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was an elite freaking play from your guy. I will tell him that tomorrow when I talk to him. I promise you. The first question to Rod Brind'Amour, how do you downplay that?
That's Our Lady Bing. What are you doing?
How do you downplay? It's an amazing play.
I know.
I would have been like, that play was so shocking to me. Like, if it's one of the greatest individual plays I have ever seen in the NHL. There wasn't a lot of room. It wasn't like Markstrom left like a square foot of empty goal. Like, there was enough room to get a puck over his shoulder.
Just for that.
It was amazing. All right, that's all I got to say about it. We're going to talk more about the Canes a little bit later on. We're going to get back to the Panthers next hour with Michael Kaye. We got a ton of stuff to do here. App State's in town, right?
They are.
Doug Gillin, the athletic director, is going to stop by in our next hour. But we're going to talk to Sean Hill, Hurricanes, a former number 22. We're playing against a former number 22. I don't like playing against Brett Pesce. He is really good. I do like playing against Dougie Hamilton, however. Yes. You know what I didn't mention? Dougie Hamilton was a -3 in the game.
Oh, so sad.
You hate to see it. Sean Hill will join us. We'll talk about game number 4 next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Let's go! It's the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Aho now to Jarvis. Jarvis, you'll get the Giants.
Let's go, Canes!
Kochetkov, stop! It's on the goal line behind him! He does a snow angel in the paint!
Go, Canes!
Playoff hockey in Raleigh is something that you can't describe, and it's because of you. So we want to be here.
The Canes' road to the Stanley Cup runs through us. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Adam Gold in studio with my friend Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I don't think we solved this problem last time, but the plural of roofs is actually roofs. We debated it. Merriam-Webster says roofs. You guys have all sorts of roofs.
All the roofs.
Run them down for me.
So we have metal roofing. We have asphalt shingle roofing. Primarily, we're doing asphalt shingles, unmatched warranties. We are a CertainTeed certified contractor, which means they've certified us to install their products properly. We are one of the few companies that hand nail all of our roofs. And so we come out, do an assessment of your roof. If there's any rotten, deteriorated wood around the perimeters, we can take care of that and give you a price right on the spot. So it's a pretty easy process, and we'd love to come out and talk to you.
And the price is going to surprise people. Real quick, what's the benefit of hand nailing?
A lot of these companies that are doing it, they're just not taking their time. These nails are going too far through the shingles. You get a windstorm after the fact, you got shingles in the backyard. People call us and say, hey, what do we do? The answer is to redo your roof.
800-672-4348, aluminumcompany.com.
Hi, I'm news correspondent Bob Woodruff. In 2006, a roadside bomb struck the armored vehicle I was riding in while reporting from Iraq. I sustained a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. The military term, got your six, means I have your back. And that day, our service members had mine. During my recovery, I learned firsthand the challenges facing our service members who return home with injuries. While serving, their fellow service members always had their six. Now that they're home, it is our turn. We started the Bob Woodruff Foundation to make sure that the camaraderie and support they relied on in the military carries on, and we need you. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative and help us be there for impacted veteran service members and their families. They've had our backs. It's time we have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org. That's gotyoursix.org. Using the number 6.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Gold. Gold.
I'm really excited about next season, considering this was supposed to be a rebuild year. But with these new guys, like Bradley Nadeau, we've got Nikishin coming eventually. If we've got Hall still here, Jackson Blake, I mean, there's so much promise and potential. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, and just wait till the big kid gets ready to play.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria, producing the program, and now it is time to welcome in Sean Hill, a man who I was playing some highlights of a game in 2002, and don't you know, Sean Hill's name was mentioned all over them. I appreciate your time, sir. How are things going on up in your neck of the woods? There should have been a number 9 at Jersey Mike's for everybody in Lewisburg.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. It's all's good. All's good with me. Big Canes win last night, obviously. It was great to see. Everybody's in a good mood now.
Yeah, everybody's in a great mood. It was an awesome day. All right, let me ask you, when was the last time you executed a play like Jacob Slavin did on the second goal of the game?
I mean, probably, I don't know, a month and a half ago. In my dreams, in my day, I would have never even thought to shoot the puck from there, and but it happens nowadays once in a while. But I mean, what an amazing play at the start of it when he knocks the puck out of the air from like 3 feet from the guy, 2 feet from the guy. It's one thing when it's going cross ice and you knock it out of the air. That's still difficult, but he does it, a foot and a half, 2 feet from off the guy's stick, which is crazy. And then has the patience to just take it in and all the way to basically the goal line, and then rips it between his ear and the post. I mean, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. We know he doesn't get it for his defense. I mean, for me, he's the best shutdown guy in the league.
Yeah.
And I know I'm biased, but even with all my favoritism towards him, I think you take that out and he's still the best in the league. But he makes some offensive plays that, I mean, he's definitely not just a shutdown defenseman. He's an amazing player.
Yeah, I think if he hunted more offense, I think he would score more, but he's not interested in that. He'd rather keep you off the scoreboard than him get on it. But we've seen in the past where when he does have the opportunity, he's good. He's a legitimately good offensive performer. I thought that play was a highlight, even if he just feathers the puck in behind the net and goes off for a change. It's a highlight because it keeps the puck in, and the Devils had been in their own end for about 2 minutes at that point, and everybody's gassed, and then you keep them on the ice even longer. It's just a ridiculous play. Sean Hill is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. After the way the game was played out and ultimately ended on Friday night, what did you see from the blue line, especially the two veteran guys in Burns and Orloff, that enabled them to be so good defensively throughout the game?
I think it's, keeping it simple obviously is easy to say, but I think sometimes we get a little bit carried away trying to make plays that aren't there, forcing things, especially this time of year. There's a lot of times this time of year where just getting the puck out of your zone, in a situation like the Devils were in when they didn't get out of the zone when Jacob held it in. I mean, you reverse that, and sometimes it's a big play to get the puck out of the zone or to get the puck to the red line and get it in so you can change instead of being stuck in your zone for 80 seconds or, a minute and a half or whatever it is. I think sometimes people don't realize how big a little battle can end up being, especially in the playoffs. It's so low scoring a lot of the times that a simple play of getting the puck in or out at the line or getting it, chipped past the guy can be the difference in the game when it's as tight as it is. So, I think obviously we're not scoring a ton of goals. So sometimes you got to put a little bit more emphasis on the little things.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a play where you get a little bit more of a stretch to get the puck out, or you take a hit to get the puck to the line, or things of that nature. And I think that was just kind of, something we did a little better.
Yeah, there's something to be said, by the way, for taking a hit to make a play. I saw it from Aho last night a couple of times where he held onto the puck long enough to get the puck to somebody else who could carry it out of the zone or carry it into the offensive zone. And sometimes you have to be willing to do that. Sean Hill is joining us here. All right, let me get to the Timo Meier, Frederik Andersen situation, and we'll take it in chunks. First is Meier's hit on Andersen. What are your thoughts on what we saw? How responsible is Andrei Svechnikov for anything that happened?
I think that it's hard, I think it's a situation where I bet if he had a chance to do it again, he'd do something differently. I think it's not like he totally blew Freddie up.
Right.
But I definitely feel like he knew what he was doing. I feel like he went in there with a purpose, and even though he didn't completely run him over, he was going in there to rattle him if he didn't score. And I think I'm not saying a guy has to fight. I by no means was a fighter, but I would definitely recommend someone grabbing him by the neck of the jersey and raking it, to the point where he's getting some jersey burn on his neck and thinks twice about the next time, or a slash across the wrist or the ankles. I mean, something's got to be done. I mean, I think he was probably surprised that he went right through our, most precious area and got a good chunk of our goalie, and there was nothing to be said about it,
Yeah, well, I mean, and Andrei Svechnikov was the defender there. He was back checking on Meier. And I know what the Devils side is, well, that Andre pushed him into Freddie. That didn't happen. And Andre was like looking for a call there rather than grab Meier and corral him against the boards and, again, go through the face wash portion of the tour, as Trip Tracy likes to say. And I understand what you're saying because but this Hurricanes team has never really done that. And that is maybe that's surprising. Maybe the wrong players were on the ice for that, but I think Andre certainly could have done something. But they didn't really do anything. The first physical response to that was Martinook's hit on Andre Palat about 5 or so minutes later. Martinook hit 2 players on that shift. He also hit, I think, Chwalski later on in that same shift. But Martinook had clearly been stewing about it. Should it have been a penalty on Meier?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it should have been. I can't remember who it was, but they said probably it would have been a goaltender interference probably type of thing. So if it's that, it's definitely, why isn't it a penalty type of thing,
Yeah.
So I just think that, we're definitely not built like that. That's not our identity. But, I look around and I see other teams and, obviously a guy like Tom Wilson does it the best. I think Sam Bennett does it very well.
Yeah.
I think at a cheaper version is probably a Duhaime, like for Washington. And Duhaime's not by any means a heavyweight, and neither is Sam Bennett, but he's going to let you know if you did something, and it's not going to be comfortable for you the rest of the game. And the other thing he might do is he might hit you on the button with his shoulder too. And Duhaime is a tenacious forechecker. I mean, he goes in with an attitude, and he wants to get the puck, but if you're in the way, he's not afraid to go through you to get it. And I just think that those guys are so valuable. They're so hard to get too. I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't have one of them, but I think, if we can go to the collective, toughness thing, and somebody should have tried to run someone over clean the next shift, like Marty did.
Yeah.
But I mean, that should happen right there. It should happen the next shift, and if that's the way you're going to play, we can play like that too. And we got enough guys that can be physical. I mean, sometimes the opportunity doesn't come up, but we got to have guys like Kaye looking for it. We got to have Marty looking for it. We got to have Spetch looking for it. Robinson's got to be looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And guys on the back end, Orly obviously can hit. Chatty can hit when he wants to, but I just think when that happens, I think everyone's got to be a little bit hypersensitive to, having their eyes wide open and looking for a hit. You don't need to run out of position to make it happen. You don't need to take a penalty, but when the opportunity presents itself, you better meet it head on and do it with some authority.
Sean Hill, former Carolina Hurricane, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, especially because it is your goaltender and Freddie had been playing so well. Same thing did happen in the series against Boston a few years ago when David Pastrnak took a shot at Antti Raanta after Raanta played brilliantly in Game 1 and was starting off well in Game 2. Kochetkov was the backup goaltender then because Anderson was hurt. Anderson actually didn't play in the playoffs in 22. Kochetkov came in that game and was really good. That actually gave us the Kochetkov-Brad Marchand moment, which was still one of the legendary Kochetkov moments. That and the poke check and the penalty shot on Brady Tkachuk in the game in Ottawa last year, maybe the two signature Kochetkov moments. But so it happens there. It happened there too, and I don't even remember the response from Carolina other than they won that game, but ultimately needed 7 games to win the series. So real quick before we say goodbye to Sean, what would you send the same lineup out tomorrow, and would you, without saying it, expect something, especially when you know that Jacob Markstrom has already swung his stick at Andrei Svechnikov, hit his own guy, but he was definitely trying to inflict some damage to Andrei. Would you run at Markstrom?
I mean, no, I don't think it's necessary. I would go after pucks in the crease with reckless abandon. I mean, I would, it's got to be, for me, it has to be a hockey play.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, pucks bounce in the crease, trying wraparounds, and when the puck's, the whistle's not blown, go hard to that area for sure. At the least, I'd rather see us, drop penalties than hurt their goalie. I don't think that, like I said, it's got to be a hockey play. As far as the lineup goes, I think Jankowski had a good game. He seemed like he was around it all night. I'd hate to be the coach. I would absolutely, I'd hate it. It's such a hard job. And how does Roddy go to Roslovich and pull him?
Right.
And then, and now I don't know if he leaves, Jankson, how do you go to him after he was around it all night and had a really good game, I thought, and tell him, but I don't know. I think somehow we got a 3-1 lead. I would try and get Nikishin in there, but I don't know anything about anything.
Are you trying to blow my Twitter timeline up, Sean? Are you trying? You trying to give me another a third job here?
I don't know, man. I just think the guy is. I've never seen him. I've seen a couple highlights, but I mean, he's a big kid.
Yeah.
He's hungry. He's very, very good offensively. He is hard to play against. I mean, it's begging for him, especially when we're up 3-1. I hate to say it, but I would probably be looking at dressing 7D maybe if you don't like the decision of pulling one of them on the back end. But my greatest coaching accomplishments are being on time to help Justin Williams' team. I mean, I can't make decisions like that, but I know that kid's intimidating. I know he played in the one of the best leagues in the world in Russia and dominant. So let him out of the cage.
Oh, gosh. R.I.P. to my mentions. Sean Hill, I thank you, man. I appreciate your time. I always love talking about the game with you. We will do it again soon, as soon as I get done answering all of the messages to me on Twitter. You're the best. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
That sounds good. Look forward to talking to you again.
You got it. Sean Hill here on the
There it was. He just left that little nugget and walked out.
Oh, man. That was fantastic, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't even know what to say at this point. We will do one-timers, though. And also, the reason for this.
Oh, people have noticed on the YouTube stream. Mm-hmm.
Have they noticed this? Did they know what it's about?
At least one person does who mentioned it.
All right.
So.
Well, anyway, we'll do one-timers next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Did you know, along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country? Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
Are you living your best life? Do you know AARP North Carolina is working to make communities great for all ages? Help workers find easier ways to save, improve healthcare quality and access, and to protect important programs like Social Security and Medicare. Learn more about all that AARP is doing to help people of all ages by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Every day, people battling addiction suffer in silence. Because of stigma, they fear judgment. They fear being labeled, and too often, they don't get the help they need. But you can help change that. Join the Governor's Institute and be a superhero in the overdose battle campaign. Learn how to break the stigma, support those in need, and save lives. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero to get involved. Be a hero, fight stigma, save a life.
70 years ago, PBS North Carolina began its journey, and you, North Carolina, have been with us every step of the way. From the adventures of Mr. Rogers to the mysteries of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, you've inspired us to keep going. Thanks to you, we've been able to expand beyond TV, touching lives in classrooms and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. There's a major shortage of mental health professionals, especially in rural areas. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Dr. Joseph Pino of Devant Health tells us about an exciting new program that's expanding mental health care in eastern North Carolina. He explains the need, especially among military families.
Military families frequently face moves across the country, long deployments, and added stress that comes with military life. And those experiences can lead to anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other mental health conditions. The stigma around mental health often prevents people from seeking care.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
You'll never walk alone. With hope in your heart.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is producing this program. You know, they say you never forget your first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, yesterday was the first time as full-on diehard supporter of Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
That they won the Premier League.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, they had won trophies before. FA Cup, League Cup, not Champions League in terms of me being a fan. My first year, they got to the final and lost to Real Madrid 1-0. But yesterday was the first big trophy that they won.
Good for them.
And it was awesome. It was great to watch. They won in 2020. I became a fan. Wasn't the following year, was the year after. It was 22. It's actually the winter of 21-22. But they won it during the COVID season. So when they won it, there were no fans.
Yeah, it's like you can't enjoy it.
They were just not. I mean, they celebrated, but it felt weird. Again, I'm just told. And this was massive.
Well, I'm happy for you that you got to enjoy yourself with that.
That's
where the scarf is coming from.
That's what the scarf is about. All right, so, that was fun yesterday.
Yeah.
And now it is time for one-timers.
All right, well, we do have a couple of people on YouTube that have some questions, so we'll start with them.
Yes.
NC State moderator, hey, buddy, what are your thoughts on PK's performance in comparison to his stretch of poor play down the stretch of the regular season?
Well, it started where it looked like the guy who played the last, 3 weeks of the regular season. But he turned it around. Also, it should be noted that there wasn't a ton for him to do in terms of really good scoring opportunities in the last, I'd say, 10 minutes of the game. I expected the Devils to throw everything, and maybe they tried, but Carolina was too sound. And then when it ended up being the Burns goal, it looks to me like Martinook really makes the play, but what they determined was that he never touched the puck. Therefore, it's Burns' goal. I thought Martinook touched the puck because it was a giveaway by Markstrom. Pressure behind the net forced Markstrom to try to get rid of it before he was ready to get rid of it. It looked like it was passed directly to Martinook. I guess it jumped his stick and ends up out at the blue line where Burns just put it right on goal. And ultimately it goes in. It just gets through. But I thought Martinook had something to do with that. It got through. He got nothing for it. Whatever. But at that point, I expected the Devils full court press, all of that, and Kochetkov really didn't have to handle a ton the rest of the way. But I thought he played well, and I thought the best thing about him was that he looked calm. Now, maybe when you give up a goal like that, a howler like that, to use a soccer term, that maybe that just takes the edge off. But he was not jumpy the rest of the night. He was pretty good.
All right.
And yes, I would start him tomorrow.
Yes. Well, This next one from Chef Wolf wants to know, how would you organize the Panthers wide receiver room into forward lines in hockey?
Let's see. That's a good one. I like the big body of Ted McMillan at center. I'd put Xavier Liggett on the left, and I'll go a little quicker. I might go Hunter Renfrow, we don't even know if he's going to make it. He's more of a third line, kind of a depth scoring guy. About Moore, David Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Go David Moore, a little veteran presence on the right on the top line. What this is telling me is that the Panthers still have some work to do at wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's what it's telling me.
Yeah, that
Adam
room
Thielen
already.
centers my second line.
Yeah, can't go wrong with Adam Thielen.
He's the David Krejci of... People won't understand that. Never mind. Keep going.
So you already answered the question about how you think Kochetkov is going to be playing in Game 5. So with that, do you have any concerns with it changing the momentum in the locker room, having Piotr out there instead of Freddie?
No, I think they'll take the same approach. I think they'll play well at home, and I think they can win this series. Remember, Kochetkov has played well, A, against the Devils, and B, he has been better at home than he's been on the road. So I'm not really squeamish at all about the game. And again, I said before, I would play him. Even if Freddie is okay, I'd play Piotr in Game 5 just to give Freddie more time. I mean, the more time doesn't hurt. And you're going to need him. I keep saying this. It isn't just about winning this series. It's about going far. You're going to need both guys. I'd try to get the best of Kochetkov if I could. All right, we don't have any time for more. So, yes. Let's see. Louis Diaz, Alexis McAllister, Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah, and then own goal. Phenomenal.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
The Carolina Hurricanes this postseason have been getting production from the bottom part of their forward lineup, as well as their defensemen. We've seen Stankoven score twice. Martin Nook has scored. Shane Gostisbehere, Jalen Chatfield have all beat Jacob Markstrom. But one of the top guys of Aho, Svechnikov, Hall, Jarvis, Blake, Kokiniemi, when are they going to finally beat the goaltender?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
The golf season is here. Time to upgrade your game. Head to Global Golf and explore Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf clubs. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned player, our expert staff will get you fit. Are you ready to trade in your current clubs? Global Golf makes it easy to trade in your previously played equipment and upgrade to your next set of clubs. Visit Global Golf today, located on 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh. Global Golf, home of the best deals in golf.
Welcome home. Your home is more than just walls and windows. It's where your story unfolds. At Baker Home Exteriors, we understand that every detail helps write that story. For over a century, our parent company, Baker Roofing, has set the standard for excellence. And now we're bringing that same dedication to your home. From roofing and siding to windows, gutters, and more, our craftsmen transform houses into the sanctuaries you've always imagined. Visit BakerHomeExteriors.com to begin your home's next chapter.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the NCHSAA, are the 198,000 high school sports students in North Carolina. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
Hi,
Hi, this is Renee Chu. The most trusted local news in the Triangle is now on the radio. WRL News Plus. Now get breaking news and severe weather reports on the radio 24 hours a day. Listen on the radio at 96.5 FM in Durham, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, and everywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen Report.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole! That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
There's not going to be a show. There's not going to be a circus with Shedeur Sanders. Deion Sanders was one of the hardest working players in the history of this game. He brought with him a great work ethic. He was loved in every locker room. Atlanta Braves clubhouse, by the way. Shedeur Sanders will be the same thing. He will galvanize. And whatever perception's out there, I don't know what people are thinking is going to happen when Shedeur Sanders is brought to your football team, except he's going to work. He's going to have all those players going to rally around him. He's going to be a hell of a quarterback in this league, and he will cause a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of anguish for the teams that pass on him. But Shedeur Sanders should have been a 1. He's going to be a 4. We'll see what happens.
Oh, man. Mel Kiper, who, based on what I was able to glean from social media, seemed to have been the most aggrieved party when Shedeur Sanders lasted all the way to the 5th round. And I'm not even throwing shade here on Mel. I watched 0 of the draft. Literally, my television never was on any network that aired the draft.
Oh, wow.
At any point.
Well, that's right. You were driving, right? Didn't we talk about that last
Saturday,
week?
I spent a lot of time. Like Thursday, I was otherwise. Yeah, I think we had like soccer training, and I was chauffeuring back and forth.
Yes.
Friday, we had a hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, Jack had a match out in Winston-Salem, so we were going back and forth to that.
336.
Yeah, there you go. So never, ever, ever. I didn't even listen to it on the radio. We were doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to hear draft coverage. I don't dislike draft coverage, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
I could figure out, this is what's happening on my phone. I know who gets drafted.
Nice little neat whole section.
Exactly.
Don't have to wait.
So, but following in real time on social media, it seemed like Mel Kiper was on a mission because he said this. He had Shedeur Sanders as QB1, which that's fair. I think it's fair. And he had him as the 5th best player in this draft. I am not saying that Mel is right. He's probably not. But I also don't think that Mel is doing some personal favor to Deion Sanders. I just think that's what Mel thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's been wrong before.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who had Ryan Leaf as the number 1 quarterback that year in the same draft as Peyton Manning. That's not right. But those people were not vilified. Of course, Leaf ended up going number 2 to, who did he go to? Seattle? I forget who took Ryan Leaf. Anyway, But that did happen. Shedeur Sanders not only didn't go in the first round, didn't get taken by New Orleans at 9 or by the Steelers at 21 or when the Giants traded back into the first round to get Jackson Dart, who I read way worse things about him as a player than I read about Shedeur Sanders as a player or person. I literally read people who think that Jackson Dart is awful. Not first-round material, but awful.
Well, that's not good.
I have no idea.
Yeah, no clue.
No clue. When I'm reading all these things and laughing because it did appear, again, through whatever you read on social media, that more than anything else, Mel Kiper was mad that Shedeur Sanders didn't go in the first round, that he didn't get drafted on day 2, and then the Browns took Dylan Gabriel, and then 2 rounds later, they take Shedeur Sanders.
It's crazy.
So why, and this will be something that everybody will unpack over time, and I do think that something that Mike Felder told us on Friday matters. The NFL doesn't like it when you don't need them. So there was a glitzy, unnecessary show put on behalf of Shedeur Sanders, whether it's because of his dad or the people that they hired to put this show on, and those types of things rub the NFL the wrong way. And I said this earlier, I think it is a fair statement that the NFL prefers, like, you know what, a big deal was made over the fact, and I'm not saying this is wrong, right or wrong, a big deal was made over the fact that Cam Ward, did you see his draft suit?
Oh, yeah, how people were saying he's very plain.
Simple,
yeah,
beige suit, white crew neck shirt.
Yeah.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And NFL people love that. I'm not even saying teams. I'm saying the people who cover the league.
Sure.
Oh, he's just such a down-earth guy. Like, none of this stuff matters.
No.
None of it matters.
Maybe he went into Kirk Cousins' closet and got him.
You like that.
Right, dad clothes.
So, look, but these are the things that get these football brainiacs going. Oh, man, he's just all about ball.
Mm-hmm.
Look, all of this stuff doesn't matter, but when you make the decision to draft a player, they matter. We'll probably be dealing with this for a long time, but by the middle of the season, if Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback in Cleveland, they're going to look better, even though he was the second quarterback they took.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's run this. All right. So this is our second look. We haven't even gotten into the Panthers, and we're going to do that with Mike Kaye of the Charlotte Observer coming up in about 10 minutes. So let's start with the general manager, Dan Morgan. He is in charge of the draft. Depending on who you believe, like if you believe Mel Kiper, he didn't like it. If you believe The Athletic, they liked it a little. If you believe CBS, they liked it a lot. Again, who knows? We'll find out in a few years. Dan Morgan on this being a collective effort.
Obviously, we're really excited about this draft class. A lot of hard work was put in, by the scouts, by the support staff, the coaches. It's just a group effort. We felt like everything went really good. We're really pleased with how the draft turned out and just excited to keep building this team and, towards something, special.
I do wonder if that exact 30-second, 26-second statement is circulating around the league in every draft room. Seriously, I wonder if the league puts out, here's what you should say. It says nothing, and people will go, yep.
Yeah, words. More words.
Here's Dave Canales on if what it says here is accurate. Was there an emphasis on getting younger in the draft?
The draft makes you younger, every year. So
really just looking for guys that fit in, the profile that we're looking for. And, just by default nature of it, that's the way it works out. But for us, it was just about every year we have this opportunity to go in there and to challenge our roster. And the players that we selected in different spots, give us the ability to create competition in each of those rooms to hopefully just elevate the entire, performance of the group.
It'll take a few years to find out whether or not this was a good draft. It just will. We won't know. I mean, if you find out in a positive way right away, like if this draft produces 3 starters, then you'll go, oh, yeah, it was a good draft. No doubt. But more likely than not, we're going to find out a couple of years out whether or not this was a good draft or not. The last several drafts have not been good. There's just very few players who got drafted by the Panthers who are legitimately productive players for the Panthers. Now, your first overall, not first overall, but your first round picks, I mean, they have to be impact players.
You would hope.
And they generally have been. But the depth in their last several drafts really hasn't created much. So we'll see a couple years out how good this draft is.
Yeah, some of those guys aren't even with the team anymore in their previous years.
That is very true. Mike Kaye will dig into this with us in just a minute. Real quick, let's go to Cleveland Browns general manager Andrew Berry on what they said to Shedeur Sanders, whom they drafted in the 5th round.
Our message to him, it's really all this. It's like, look, got to come in and work, and you got to come in and compete. That's the message. Nothing's given. Given the nature of the weekend for him, relative to, let's say, external expectation versus what happened, we did tell him that it really doesn't matter where you picked. It's what you do from that point forward, because that's the reality for all the guys that we selected this weekend. In terms of his reaction, I just say it was probably a mixture of gratitude, relief, and determination. That would probably be the best way to characterize it. But he's certainly ready to go.
Chip on his shoulder to a guy who probably felt he should have been a first-round pick who went in the 5th round doesn't hurt the team any. But I do appreciate the National Football League collectively trying to humble Deion's son. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Mike Kaye, Charlotte Observer on the Panthers draft and a surprise free agent signing at the end of the weekend. Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
The Carolina Hurricanes this postseason have been getting production from the bottom part of their forward lineup, as well as their defensemen. We've seen Stankoven score twice. Martinook has scored. Shane Gostisbehere, Jalen Chatfield have all beat Jacob Markstrom. But one of the top guys of Aho, Svechnikov, Hall, Jarvis, Blake, Kokiniemi, when are they going to finally beat the goaltender?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun fried whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's non-stop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah!
Big money! Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instance for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in the Triangle. With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Charlie died after taking a single pill that turned out to be counterfeit.
He was having back issues, and it was a counterfeit poisonous pill.
Websites and social media selling fake medicines may look legitimate, but they're not. Drugs from these rogue pharmacies could have fillers like sawdust or deadly fentanyl.
He died in less than 15 minutes after taking the pill.
Now there's a free tool that can give you peace of mind. At safe.pharmacy, enter the pharmacy web address, and you'll know if the site you're using is safe.
If you're not getting your prescriptions from a legitimate source, that next dose you take could be your last.
We just don't want other people to go through what we're going through. It's just horrific.
Go to safe.pharmacy. Find out about fake medicine on social media and if the site you're buying from is safe.
If a carpet refresh is on your to-do list, now's the time to check it off, because right now you can take advantage of our Buy More, Save More savings. The more you buy, the more you save, up to 15% on select special order carpet purchases. Plus, the Home Depot Home Services can handle the installation for you. All that's left is to enjoy that stunning new carpet and step into softness. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Offer valid April 17th through May 4th. Receive up to 15% off special select order carpet purchases. Minimum purchase required. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
This is Adam Gold.
He doesn't have many years to choose from.
No, and part of that was COVID. Nobody's picking COVID.
COVID was a great year.
Yeah.
Look, if you invested in Zoom,
oh, that was a good year.
You had a good year during COVID.
Yep.
The Adam Gold Show.
I now know why Victoria found Mike Kaye, who covers the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. I now know why they have connected, because Mike has almost as many underscores in his Twitter handle as Victoria does. At Mike_E_K on Twitter, covers the Panthers for the Observer. First of all, thank you very much for your time. With the draft in our rearview mirror, everybody should be ready to take at least some time away. So hope I'm not disturbing you. But let's start with the wide receiver edition, and there are two, only one of which was a draft pick. So your quick reaction to the drafting of Arizona wide receiver Tet McMillan.
Yeah, T-Mac was an interesting case. I was never somebody who bought into the Jalen Walker to the Panthers hype, just because he seemed to go against the typecasting that Ejiro Evero kind of uses at pass rusher. I'm sure we'll talk about those guys in a minute, but from the standpoint of McMillan, wide receiver was clearly a need. This was not a top-heavy – this was not a very heavy wide receiver class as far as talent. And I think they just decided, look, wide receiver bottoms out here. Pass rusher doesn't bottom out for a while.
Right.
Go up and get your guy who can make some plays in the passing game. Give Bryce Young another big target. Xavier Legette's probably better off as the number 2 option to begin with. And so here's a guy who has an incredible catch radius, can grab the ball out of the air. He's not the fastest wide receiver, but he can win jump balls in a vertical passing game.
Mike Kaye is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. My curiosity with this whole thing, and I understand the criticism because he doesn't have the high-end speed and all of that, and when you pick a guy 8th in the draft, you think that he's the total package in terms of the wide receiver position. But I also, in the back of my mind, I kept hearing how at a certain number, and who knows when that number was, the draft was pretty flat all the way through, say, the end of the first round. So the same guy you picked at number 8, you could have gotten at number, 20 or 28. But if nobody was going to trade up, you simply had to decide who's our guy, wherever we would take him, and just take him. Is that the way you read what the Panthers did?
Yeah, I think no matter what, there was going to be a sect of the fan base that was like, huh? I think with Walker being a hybrid player, not being a natural fit for outside linebacker based on body type and length, I think Mason Graham, the same thing. He has incredible tape, but, very small arms, not necessarily the most fit of guys naturally. And so I think there would have been concern there. But when you look at McMillan, his superpower is catch radius and dependable hands, and that seems like a direct correlation to the struggles that Xavier Legette had as a rookie. So you add those guys up, you see the success that the Eagles and the Bengals have had with two well-paid or highly invested in wide receivers, and you try to go from there. This offense was 29th ranked last year. As bad as the defense was, the offense wasn't much better.
Right.
And I think you want to put your quarterback in the best position possible, and when push comes to shove, if you're taking guys all things equal, well, you also have to study the rest of the draft. And, wide receiver, I really liked Matthew Golden, but outside of him, it just kind of felt like there wasn't a guy worthy of rushing that card up for other than McMillan, and I think that's what they ultimately determined.
Mike Kaye covers the Panthers for The Observer in Charlotte, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Now let's go after the draft, and this went under the radar everywhere, and I actually saw it, and I wasn't sure if I was getting a prank call or a prank post from somebody in the Atlanta Falcons organization. Hunter Renfrow is back, and he's now back in the area where he first made, I guess, headlines at Clemson. How did this come together? What do you think of it?
Well, he came for a visit earlier in the offseason, and a lot of us just kind of chucked that up to, like, oh, it's a favor. Oh, he's trying to. But no, I guess he impressed during that visit. He's 29 years old. He took a year off last year. I didn't think his last 2 seasons in Las Vegas were particularly promising. But if you remember that 21 season, he was on fire as a slot receiver. And so I think the Panthers are very serious about, building up competition. But I think even more importantly, I think they're trying to be creative in how they create that competition, right? Like they double dip at pass rusher to improve that group. They made some really peculiar but yet interesting trades that were pretty creative. They've added guys like Patrick Jones who can rush in a few different ways. Same with Bobby Brown. Cam Jackson, the 5th-round pick, can be a movable guy who's a mammoth man. So I think, they've got a plan, they've got a structure, but even more importantly, they're thinking outside the box.
I dig it. Look, if he's one of those guys that I'm not going to say speed doesn't matter because speed will always matter, but he is one of those receivers. We just go back to the play he made at Clemson, right? Didn't he catch the national championship touchdown pass?
I believe so,
yeah.
But
with all of their receivers, it was him who caught the touchdown pass.
But like you, my memory is a little shaky after covering the Carolina Panthers for a while. So I want to say you're correct, but
yeah, it's all right. It doesn't matter.
If you snoped me on that one and I'm incorrect, sure.
All right, let me move on because you alluded to drafting 2 edge rushers, one in the 2nd round, another in the 3rd round. Is this – there's 2 ways to look at it. One, they think that both players are good and they're building for the future and they expect both to be great. Or, you know what? We're not really sure. It's a roll of the dice either way, and at least maybe one of them will hit. How do you look at it?
Well, they're two very different pass rushers. If you look at their size, length, weight, everything, they're very different. Nick Sworton really fits what Evero wants to do. He wants heavy-handed, big, long, lengthy guys. He's 6'3" and has 34-inch arms. He started the college season at 285 and dropped to 275 by the end of it, and by the combine, he was at 257.
Wow.
So he has undergone this body transformation. Oh, and by the way, he can't legally purchase alcohol until August.
Nice.
So there's so much upside here, and he was so good at Purdue before he transferred to Texas A&M. Really good burst, really good hands. He's got a spin move that is tremendous for a guy who's so young. He's got a lot of power. He's a guy who can stop the run first and foremost, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see out of him as an edge rusher. And then Princely Uman Milan was a guy I actually mocked to them in a day 2 mock draft after the first round. I just love his length. He's 6'4", 244, so he's svelte, but he is a guy who can bend. He's like Gumby. He's a guy who can get around the edge with speed. He's got some understated power. I think he'll be a guy who at 23 can play right away. I actually think he might play a little bit more than Nick Sworton initially because he is excuse me.
You're right.
He is somebody who can win with speed and not necessarily technique. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Josh Sweat, who is obviously a big free agent addition for the Arizona Cardinals. He's a guy that I think can develop. I think, he's played in 2 different systems at Florida and Ole Miss and had success in both of them. He's going to be a guy on third down who you could view as like a closer, like a guy who, if you need a sack or you need a momentum push, he's a guy who can get in the backfield, whether that's as a pass rusher or a run stopper. And I think they should be really excited about both guys.
I also appreciate you working in the word svelte during this conversation. Mike Kaye covers the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. I want to jump to the 4th round and Lathan Ransom, who to me stood out at Ohio State because every time I watched the Buckeyes, I came away with, that guy's nuts. And at the very least, they've got a special teams guy there, I believe. But, I mean, he just hits everything.
Yeah, he's a seek and destroy missile for sure. His strengths actually are pretty comparable to Trevon Merrick's, who was obviously their big free agent signing. I think the way you could look at this is if they play 3 safeties in coverage, Merrick will probably play the dime linebacker, the nickel linebacker, and Ransom will play probably closer to the box, and they'll just need a guy like Monty Richardson to kind of play post. Or if they bring in somebody like Julian Blackman or Marcus Williams, who visited in March, maybe that's where they fit in. But I think, Ransom, more than anything, fits the temperament and kind of the toughness that they want to bring to this roster, especially at safety, where last year they only had one NFL caliber starting safety in Xavier Woods. He's now in Tennessee. A lot of the issues with the run defense came from that last line of defense just being awful.
Sure.
And so they've reached this safety room, and I think Ransom's a good tackler. He can blitz. He forced 6 forced fumbles in 5 years. That's really good production, especially from a box safety. And I think at worst, they have a situation where Ransom can provide, insurance to their big free agent signing, but I also think they can use him creatively around the secondary, maybe even at nickel. So we'll see where that goes, but it wouldn't shock me if they add another guy to the mix in the coming days.
All right, final question. A position group you think still needs addressing. Look, they were last in the league in almost everything on defense, so there's always going to be room for improvement. But where would you expect them to try to address, either in late free agency, undrafted free agency, and things like that?
Well, safety, as they just brought up, and that'd be kind of a boring answer. I'd say corner. They invested heavily in J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson, but J.C. Horn has that obvious history of injuries, and Mike Jackson's trying to prove he's not a one-year wonder.
Right.
After becoming a first-year starter here. They like Shaw Smith-Wade, but he's still learning the nickel position. And beyond that, they have, a failed Vikings draft pick in Caleb Evans, and then Shamar Bartholomew, who they claimed off waivers after training camp last year. So the position's pretty thin, both on bodies and talent, and it would not shock me if they went bargain hunting in free agency or waited to see what teams do post-draft with their roster reductions because they have to make room for other guys and undrafted free agents.
Mike Kaye, at Mike_E_K with an E on the end of it. I appreciate your time. Charlotte Observer covers the Panthers. Thank you very much, and we will chat soon.
Thanks for having me, as always.
For those guys who have been covering the draft, who have been who have a team beat, not just guys. I use guys as kind of a collective, men and women. The last month, 2 months, 3 months have to have been ridiculous. And all you need to know about the importance of this, in terms of the coverage, I'm not talking about that it's like, splitting the atom or anything like that. But people consume draft coverage so extensively that you almost have to continuously, even if there's no real news, you have to feed that beast over and over and over again. These people must be sick and tired of it by now. I am shocked that we got Mike to even consider a conversation with us. Shocked. All right, a lot to do. We do this every year. We should probably do it more. Doug Gillin has had 10 years as the athletic director at App State. In football, they have won 4 Sun Belt titles because of his brilliant leadership. He joins us now on the Adam Gold Show. I don't know why I laughed. I shouldn't have made myself laugh at that. Mr. Gillin, how are you?
Yeah, that is. I don't know why you laughed either, Adam, but thank you for that.
My fault. It's my fault.
Absolutely. No problems. Yeah, and before we get started, I got to congratulate you on Victoria, your producer, hiring an app grad. That's brilliant.
Hey, our place here, and this is going to sound weird, is crawling with app grads. We have a ton of App State influence here, which is probably why we're so efficiently run.
Exactly. You've done well hiring. Great job.
Hey, thank you very much for providing quality people that we can hire.
Absolutely.
All right, so I know you guys are in town today. There's what is going on that brought you guys to town, or that is bringing you guys to town, and then we can go about the business of talking about your new football coach and some other things. And there's some big picture stuff I'd love to run by you.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the annual spring tour, Adam. We get out around the state, around the region, and get to talk to folks kind of where they live and where they're at, and bring App State to everybody across the state. So today's Raleigh, tomorrow's Greensboro, Thursday's Winston-Salem. So this is a busy week of getting out to see a lot of App fans.
You have App fans everywhere. You guys have been, one of those sexy, nationally recognized football programs for a long time now. So let's dig into Dowell Loggins, because I found it interesting, and we spoke to Coach after he was hired. I found it interesting that while he does have recent experience in the college game, he's primarily an NFL coach. You guys paved the way for Bill Belichick, maybe at North Carolina. What was the thought process behind going with somebody who's the lion's share of his experience is as an NFL coach?
Well, I think when we started looking at it, we certainly liked the broad-based experience. The time in the NFL, being an offensive coordinator at so young, being able to call it at the highest level. was certainly encouraging. But certainly it mattered that also had some college experience, high-level college experience, good recruiting experience.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly with the changing landscape in college athletics and particularly football, evaluation is so key when you're in the portal, when you're in the NIL world. And we really thought that resonated with us, how he has been evaluating talent at the highest level in the NFL and certainly throughout his college career. And then, just the fit. We talk about this a lot, Adam. Are you going to fit in the mountains of Boone, North Carolina? Are you going to fit App State, which is a nationally prominent brand, as you mentioned? So there was a lot to like about Dowell Loggins. I'm really excited about the future.
Obviously, it must have mattered that his years of college experience and the recruiting aspect came in the Southeastern Conference, right?
Well, absolutely. You look at what he did at South Carolina. Being able to fit his offense to this talent, and I think that's what we have to do. Is you can't just plug and play with the same talent every year. And what he did, particularly at South Carolina with the quarterback situation, and that we kind of evaluated that a bunch. Looked at how he ran an offense with one quarterback and then a completely separate offense with another quarterback. That lended both of those ways to his strengths, or the quarterback's strengths, and I thought that success was really important.
Doug Gillin, athletic director at Appalachian State, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I'm going to get into, because you mentioned NIL, and I'll get into a couple of issues like that with you in a second, but I am curious, your schedule for this year, what appears to be an annual game with Charlotte at Boise State, home against Oregon State. Your non-conference schedules are stacked over the next several years. Do you think that will be more difficult to maintain going forward? Most conferences are going to go to the bigger conference is going to go to 9 conference games ultimately because it's all about inventory. Are you afraid of being squeezed out?
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be more difficult to maintain, and I don't know that I would use the word squeezed out. I think you look at great regional rivalries, whether it's Charlotte or East Carolina, certainly with UNC, NC State, the ones that we've played recently. Hopefully those will continue because they just make sense from a geographical standpoint. Right. Certainly if some of the bigger schools go to 9 games, I say bigger stadium size, go to 9 games, that might limit or eliminate some of our quote-unquote opportunity games, but we're trying to not do those as much anyways. We want folks to come to Boone. We want to play home and homes, and we want to play games that people want to see, and we absolutely want to play games that benefit the economy of the state of North Carolina.
Well, you've got NC State coming up there. Boise State's coming in. That'll be just an absolutely great, a great scene for a program like Boise. But I do understand that it is more difficult. You got to stop beating teams. That's the problem. They don't want to play you if you can beat them, especially when you beat them at their place, whether it's winning at Texas A&M or, not that far, earlier than that, should have beating Tennessee in Knoxville. So my advice would be don't beat them, and then they won't try to weasel out of games. But so it brings me to the current state of affairs in college sports. What is your level of anxiety about what the future holds? Maybe not the immediate future this year or next year, but going forward. How can App State stay on that playing field with some of the behemoth leagues?
Well, yeah, I think App State absolutely can. I think you got to continue to adapt, and then we talk to our folks. Now, we're not going to be, assuming the House settlement passes and, the revenue share is $20.5 million, we're not going to be in that game, but I do think that we can continue to innovate and be entrepreneurial in our level, and that we can recruit. The job that Dowell Loggins is doing right now, recruiting, is I would put that up against anybody in the country. And now you just got to be a great evaluator. You got to look under a lot of different places. But I think we are going to continue to adapt. Our fan base has continued to invest in App State athletics. That's one of the reasons we'll be out and about around the state, is, again, talking to folks about what's going on, why we continuously think this is a great investment, why athletics is great for our university. And I do think like you said, not in the next 6, 12 months, but we got to continue to be relevant in the sport of college athletics as things change. And it appears we are not in a place where things aren't going to continue to change. Like, we're going to continuously see some change. We just got to be in our lane and adapt.
Take me back 2 years. Did you think we would be where we are now 2 years ago?
No. That's why I don't know where we're going to be 2 years from now.
Right.
So that's why you got to keep your eyes wide open. You got to make sure you're. I always talk about the merry-go-round concept. You got to be relevant when that merry-go-round stops. And so for us, that is continue to fill our stadium. We'll be sold out of all of our tickets again this year. We'll continue to be the highest attended venue in the Sun Belt Conference. And certainly if you actually put our attendance against up a bunch of schools, we outdraw a lot of different schools. So there's a lot to like about App State and what we do from an athletic standpoint. We just got to continue on that trajectory.
Doug Gillin is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show, App State Director of Athletics. They're in town today, in Greensboro tomorrow. Because recruiting is, the so-called lifeblood of college sports, and the portal is so important to many of those teams in the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC and the Big 12, does it open more doors for high school recruiting for App and schools that play, whether it's in the Sun Belt or the American, because there may be not as, because you're losing some of your good players to those bigger leagues?
I think that's a great observation, Adam. I think high school recruiting is going to continue to be critical for places like App State. That's something where we have always done a great job of evaluating high school talent, developing high school talent, and certainly have a lot of talent that's gone on to play in the NFL. So high school is going to be continuously really important to us. I do agree with your point that when you look at some of these portal things, folks are just changing, whether it's the Power Four or whatever you want to call it, they're just changing players amongst each other. And for us, we got to make sure that we continue to stay focused on high school recruiting.
Joey Aguilar leaving App, going to UCLA, and then getting redirected to Tennessee. He was a great player for the Mountaineers. Just what are your thoughts? As a guy who loves college football, college sports, what are your thoughts on this new element in your industry?
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I don't like the element where, you can have somebody reach out to somebody on, pick a school's roster. It could be any, could be App State, could be anybody. And the next day they're in the portal and the next day they're signing somewhere else. The Joey Aguilar situation where he thinks, he did a great job at App. He gave his all for Appalachian. He thinks he's in a good spot, and then, they decide that all of a sudden there's something else out there, right? And then you got to move around. I always talk to our folks, right? You got to be from somewhere. I still believe that. You got to be from somewhere where that alumni base will go to bat for you no matter where it is, when it is, the number of years it is from now. You want to be from Appalachian. You want the alums. You need a job. You need help doing something. You reach out to your alums, the place that you graduated from, the place that you gave your heart and soul to. I still believe that that's at the core of intercollegiate athletics. We've got to continue at App, and we've done this, but we've got to continue to make it really, really hard to leave, and you got to make it really, really enticing to come. So that's what we focus on every day.
Well, if you bring people to Boone, it becomes enticing to come and hard to leave at the same time. There is nothing that beats a college town. And I think Boone, North Carolina is right up there. The atmosphere at Kid Brewer Stadium is incredible. It is one of my all-time favorite places to take in a game. I appreciate your time. Hope the fundraising goes well over the next few days. I really do. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your time, Mr. Gillin. We will do it again soon.
You got it, Adam. Come see us. Go out.
You got it. Doug Gillin here on the Adam Gold Show. I wish we had a little bit more time to dig into like the specifics of the changes that are ongoing that nobody knows in college sports. If I had told, and maybe we need to do like a whole week of conversations with ADs. We like to do these things in the summer where, all right, this is our theme. Tell me what you think college football is going to look like in 5 years. Seriously. I'll bet you we would have 5 different answers. I really do. All right, when we come back, it hasn't aired yet, I believe, on 60 Minutes. But Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson, his significant other,
as he calls
creative
her.
muse.
Creative muse.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. His creative muse, Jordan Hudson, are continuing to make headlines. And, like, I have no problem with him or her and protecting their relationship. But this has become a national story now.
Yeah.
A 60 Minutes piece is going to run. We'll hit that next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Did you know, along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country? Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
Are you living your best life? Do you know AARP North Carolina is working to make communities great for all ages? Help workers find easier ways to save, improve healthcare quality and access, and to protect important programs like Social Security and Medicare. Learn more about all that AARP is doing to help people of all ages by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Do you know someone who's lost a loved one to overdose? Every day, the disease of addiction is taking lives and devastating families. But this crisis is preventable. Join the Governor's Institute in the Be a Superhero in the Overdose Battle campaign. Together, we can spread awareness, fight stigma, and save lives. Learn the signs of overdose. Know how to help. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero today, because doing nothing shouldn't be an option. Be a hero. Take action. Save a life.
70 years ago, PBS North Carolina began its journey, and you, North Carolina, have been with us every step of the way. From the adventures of Mr. Rogers to the mysteries of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, you've inspired us to keep going. Thanks to you, we've been able to expand beyond TV, touching lives in classrooms and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. There's a major shortage of mental health professionals, especially in rural areas. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Dr. Joseph Pino of Devant Health tells us about an exciting new program that's expanding mental health care in eastern North Carolina. He explains the need, especially among military families.
Military families frequently face moves across the country, long deployments, and added stress that comes with military life. And those experiences can lead to anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other mental health conditions. The stigma around mental health often prevents people from seeking care.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
If Andrei Svechnikov watched Eric Cole highlight tapes and cause chaos.
Mm-hmm. Hey, hashtag, you didn't even mean to do that, did you?
I didn't. Well, that's the old one.
I know, but
right?
It's still relevant.
Now we're raising up. Maybe we should go back to cause chaos.
I know, we need to go back to causing chaos.
It's interesting. I did kind of subconsciously bring that out.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. It is Monday.
I know. Thankfully, it's not manic, but I'm playing this for a reason, so I'll tell you.
Okay, you'll tell
during
me.
a seventh inning stretch.
All right, well, we're going to get to that in a quick second. Real quick, Rod Brindamore said there is no update on Freddie Anderson right now. We'll know more later today. The team did not skate yesterday. They will skate in the morning of game number 5 tomorrow. So at the very least, we should know then, although Anderson did not skate before game 3 and played. So it's very possible that at the morning skate tomorrow, and I will be there, we might not see Freddie Anderson, and he might still play in game 5, but we'll be able to find out later, or tomorrow, about that. So let's stretch. All right, do you want to tell me first why you were playing Manic Monday, and then we're going to hear from
you know
this
what?
60 Minutes piece.
I feel like you should start with Bill Belichick first, and then we'll get to that.
There you go. Well, now I'm intrigued. All right, so this, I don't believe it's aired yet. I didn't watch 60 Minutes yesterday. I was otherwise occupied. So this is a 60 Minutes piece featuring Bill Belichick wearing a Navy shirt.
Yeah, a very old Navy sweatshirt.
With a hole in it. I don't even get that, but anyway, here it is.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways.
He said fired.
It was a mutual decision.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the...
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on, though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan, where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet, and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
What he does follow isn't clicks or views, but touchdowns and, above all, wins.
You do seem like you're having a lot more fun these days than you were in other chapters of your life, let's say.
I enjoy football. I enjoy the whole process of it. It's hard to win, and it's hard to beat other good coaches, good teams. I appreciate the grind. I appreciate the competition. But coaching's fun, and honestly, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life.
All right, so the reason 60 Minutes put that in...
Yikes.
Seriously, the reason they put it in, based on everything I've read, is that she was constantly interrupting what they were, the interview.
Yeah.
They did not want to interview Jordan Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I could not possibly care less about the relationship. Is he happy? That's all I care about. The only thing, I don't care that she's 24 and he's like 3 times older than that. I don't care.
Yeah.
She's not the first. The guy who owns the Red Sox, his I guess wife is less than half his age.
Sure.
It just doesn't matter to me. But it is definitely causing issues, whether it's with Hard Knocks or for his creative muse.
Yes.
Creative muse.
That's what he calls her.
So, again, I just don't care. As long as it doesn't get in the way with football.
Yeah. I know.
It's something for everybody else. They could handle it better.
Yeah.
And that will be worth watching over the course of the season.
After watching this very uncomfortable video, which I would recommend people do because it is very uncomfortable.
Yes.
I made a tweet about it. It was like two things that pop in my head. Super old sweatshirt, didn't have anything else in the collection. And number two, blink twice if you are being held against your will, Bill.
Bill, yes. Yeah, true.
Because he looks scared. And I don't know.
She's also wearing a Navy sweatshirt. Where's the Carolina gear, man? Where's the Carolina gear?
Right, it's the wrong blue. So I don't know. But yeah, it's rough.
Yep.
It's super rough. Now, quickly to explain why I did the Manic Monday, because there are certain songs that are surprising. People don't realize that weren't written by the artist that made it popular, and that's one of them. So it's sung by the Bangles, but Prince actually wrote that song.
Wow.
Which makes sense because Prince is amazing.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
There's all kinds of others, but I might have to get to that tomorrow because we got to place our bets.
Place your bets.
That's a whole different topic.
I know.
bet you slice into the woods.
I have a lot of things like that.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide. Okay, you can own me. I know you will.
Honestly, I could just do all bump songs of these songs tomorrow because it's kind of surprising how many good ones there are that they didn't write it.
You know who wrote many of the Monkees songs?
Who?
Neil Diamond.
Ooh.
No kidding.
Look at Neil go.
I think Daydream Believer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or I'm a Believer, one of the two. Maybe both. I don't know. He wrote a bunch of Monkey songs.
That's a good one. Well, hockey bets tonight. First up, Lightning and Panthers. I think Panthers are going to get the win tonight, and I'm going to go under 5.5. That's plus 205.
All right, we're going to give you goal scorers from this game. I'm going to give you one for either side. Evan Rodriguez for the Panthers. Lock. Absolute lock. And Brandon Hagel for the Lightning. Anything else? No?
No
right,
time.
I'll give you a goal scorer for each in Colorado, Dallas. Matt Duchene for Dallas. Brock Nelson for Colorado. Great value in both.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
The Carolina Hurricanes this postseason have been getting production from the bottom part of their forward lineup, as well as their defensemen. We've seen Stankoven score twice. Martin Nook has scored. Shane Gostisbehere, Jalen Chatfield have all beat Jacob Markstrom. But one of the top guys of Aho, Svechnikov, Hall, Jarvis, Blake, Kokiniemi, when are they going to finally beat the goaltender?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hello, Scott Forbes, head baseball coach, University of North Carolina. When it comes to choosing a dealership, I stick with Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Growing up in Sanford, I've been fortunate to be lifelong friends with Will Wilkinson. My family and I have been buying and having our vehicles serviced at Wilkinson for many, many years. Great service, competitive prices, and most importantly, a place you can trust. Go where I go. Go see my longtime friend Will Wilkinson at Wilkinson, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Charlie did not die from an overdose. Charlie was poisoned.
No other family should go through this. It's just horrific.
Go to safe.pharmacy. Use the free tool. Learn if the online pharmacy you're using is safe.
I had been taking probably 800 milligrams of opioids a day, which is an insane amount.
David is in recovery from an addiction to prescription opioids.
Eventually, my whole life began to unravel. I realized that I needed help. And in recovery, I found my purpose. Addiction is a disease of isolation and loneliness. There is a way out. You don't have to do this alone.
If you or someone you know is struggling, there is hope. Recovery is possible. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Game on the line. Jokic has it. Got to go. 5 seconds to play. In regulation, Jokic. A miracle shot. The Joker buzzer is good. They count it.
Oh, Joker. Was it a pass?
No, it wasn't. Actually, guys, I don't know how you're familiar with European EuroLeague. Teodosic made the exact same, like he missed a ball and Josh Childers came and picked up and they won Final Four. I think it was semifinals it was CSK against Partizan. Yeah, a long time ago. Maybe I can help you guys write the story.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. NBA playoffs have been pretty interesting for the first round. Lakers are on the brink of an early exit. I'm not going to say that nobody saw coming. I mean, we are talking about an old, still good, obviously very good, LeBron James, but the regular season is not the playoffs. Just isn't. And ultimately, not that Nico Harrison is rooting for this as general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, but Luka Doncic's unwillingness to participate in the defensive side of the game is in some ways contributing to the Lakers' demise. On top of that, you have a young head coach in J.J. Redick that has appeared to have lost confidence in pretty much anybody outside of his core 5 or so players. And it's tough. Wears down your older guys. Now, the Lakers could win Game 5 of this series, right? I think they're down 3-1. They could win Game 5 of this series, go back to Minnesota and win Game 6. And now we're talking about a 1-game series. But it looks to me, based on what I have seen of this series, that they are likely going to lose Game 5 at home. And then there will be a lot of questions asked about everything. Now, the Lakers definitely need some help defensively inside, but we will get more into the NBA playoffs throughout the week, I'm sure. Right now, Wall of Sound time.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, after Game 3, which Rod Brindamore did not like, although yesterday he kind of downplayed his displeasure with it. He should have been displeased with Game 3. It was not good. Carolina at 5-on-5 was rarely... They were really good in the second period, didn't score. They were good right before getting the second power play in the third period, which led to the second power play goal, which got them even. But they really weren't great at 5-on-5 in the third period either. But they still had a chance to win the game because playoff games are such. There's never as big a separation as you think. Anyway, Rod on the response in Game 4.
Well, the start obviously is good. I mean, that's the key of the game. When you get ahead of it, it's a lot easier to play your game when you're ahead. So, I thought, really I thought we were good all game. We had, they had their little push when they got that second goal there, I thought, but overall, I thought we were just solid. But the key is getting down to that 2-0 lead and then actually making it 3. That's it's hard to come back from in this league.
Yeah, except that we had more than 30 minutes it was like 33 minutes of 3-2 game. I don't care that it was 3-0. With 30 some odd minutes left in the game, it was 3-2. That's anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Devils were pushing.
Yep.
Credit to Pyotr Kochetkov. We'll get to that in a little bit. First, Andrei Svechnikov became the second Hurricane, he produced the second playoff hat trick in Hurricanes history. You know who produced the first? Andrei Svechnikov. So what did Rod see out of his number 37?
Well, we've talked about this for a long time. Like, your best players have to be your best players. They have to be, at this time of year, noticeable, but they also have to actually be on the score sheet. So, whatever. I mean, he came out, obviously, he was on the score sheet, so that's huge. But, I think he had 5 or 6 shots. I mean, he was around it. And that's, if we want to be successful, you got to get those contributions.
Yes. Getting on the score sheet mattered. Played on a line with Sebastian Aho and Jackson Blake. Also mattered. As for Pyotr Kochetkov, who was called into duty because Timo Meier knocked Frederik Andersen out of the game with definitely a shot that should have been penalized, but otherwise wasn't egregious. So what did Rod see out of his backup?
You can't ask for a tougher situation and then give up a dirtball goal, right? I mean, that's, but the way to bounce back. I mean, that to me, I could have just crumbled in a minute. And we know that about him, right? He's got a great ability to just kind of move on and get right back to it. So, we got, I thought he played great after that. So we didn't give up a ton, which was key. But when we did, he made a couple of good saves, and that's what obviously you need.
Yeah, Freddie played very well after giving up the Meier goal on his second shot, which was a terrible goal to allow. Just awful. But he recovered. And actually, I think Tripp said it on the broadcast, and maybe it was wishful thinking. I'm not saying it was or wasn't. But he said, well, maybe that kind of took the edge off. Like, after giving up that, you can't give up a worse goal than that. It's one of the worst non-Scott Darling goals I've ever seen.
Yeah, he wants that one back.
Yeah.
Immediately after.
So, but he moved on. He played pretty well after that. All right, now, as for, this is from last night, an update on Frederik Andersen and the collision.
Well, he's going to get checked out tomorrow, so obviously he wasn't good enough to continue, so that's not a good sign. But I don't have any other information, so we'll know more, I guess, tomorrow when he gets evaluated. And my thoughts, I don't know, what am I going to say? Just get in trouble, so forget it, move on.
All right, now, he did say later on, because he was asked specifically what he would have liked to have seen done. And he goes, well, I guess I have to answer it now. Now, Rod could have just said, I don't want to talk about it, and that would have been fair. he did point out that had the puck gone in the net, there is no question it would have been ruled out for goaltender interference.
Right.
First of all, good luck knowing what goaltender interference is.
Yes. And having a call go our way.
Right.
A.k.a. Canes.
Yeah, I get it. You're 100% right. I don't know. I don't understand how they miss a call like that when it's the puck's in the crease. The referee's got to be looking at the play. I, for the life of me, don't understand why it's just not an automatic 2-minute penalty.
Should have been.
But whatever. They retroactively called it a 5-minute major so they could go look at it, and there was never anything there that said 5-minute major. It's a 2-minute goaltender interference penalty. End of score. End of story. Carolina should have been on the power play. They weren't. A few minutes later, the Devils scored, and it was the guy, Timo Meier, who hit Anderson, which makes it even worse. But either way, Carolina got a little hosed on the play. Jacob Slavin. All right, now he scored the greatest goal I've seen in Hurricanes. Like, not the most meaningful. I'm talking about individual effort. We haven't seen a better goal than that. The defensive play, then the shot. But what I want to hear from Slavin is the bounce back from Game 3.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think we had lapses tonight as well. But when we're on, we're forechecking really hard. We're not allowing teams to breathe, and so you saw that for a good chunk of the game tonight of us being on the forecheck, them having to chip the puck out and change, and us right back in on them, and that's kind of what was reversed in Game 3. And so when we're on, we're breaking the puck out well. We got a 5-man forecheck going. We're all over them, and just Roddy talks about it's a stress game, and so I think we controlled that part of the game tonight.
And Slavin's goal, which started with an elite level defensive play, knocking the puck out of the air off the, Steph Nason's trying to get it out of the zone. It follows about almost a 2-minute shift in the New Jersey end. So Slavin knocks the puck out of midair, then tips it behind Nason, around Nason, behind him so only he could get to it, and then skates it down to an impossible angle and somehow gets it over Jacob Markstrom's shoulder, past his ear, and off the back bar for simply one of the most incredible plays. I was sitting at home watching the game, and the defensive play before the goal, I went, oh, what a play. It was that kind of a defensive play. And then he scores the goal, and now you don't even know what to do with your hands because it was astonishing. Just an incredible play. Like 2 separate wicked highlights, and they were all in one. It was beautiful.
Exactly.
It did remind me a little bit of Sebastian Aho in the bubble against Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah.
Go back, watch that goal, because Aho stole that puck too and did unspeakable things to my friend Tony DeAngelo. Unspeakable things.
Yep, that was a good one.
All right, when we come back, Ross Tucker. Yeah, you know him. NFL podcaster, Westwood One broadcaster, an entrepreneur. We will talk about the draft and maybe give you a gift idea. Next.
From the heels.
Touchdown, Carolina.
To the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but that doesn't mean me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as the NFL draft approaches, insight on free agents and prospects, plus all the insider info on who the Panthers want to pick at number 8. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hi, it's Adam Gold for my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary, the man who invented the no closing cost mortgage back in 1987. He was mocked at the time. True story. They said, oh, this is a fad. This is a scam. He's not really. No closing cost gives you the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates drop. Here's the deal. If you pay closing cost, you are simply buying a lower rate. Hey, we love lower rates, but would you pay $5,000 to save $50 a month? That's really all you're doing. And the answer should be no, because the rates will be lower within an 8-year period, because that's the break-even point. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Again, we're going to save you money at the front and throughout the life of the mortgage. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
WREL News at 6 is coverage you can count on. Get the biggest stories of the day and breaking news as it happens.
Plus, complete weather coverage of your town.
WREL News has everything you need when you need it, including this special report.
A quiet road turned upside down.
Somebody's going to get killed. Seeing our worst nightmare come true.
Who is responsible when your neighborhood turns into a nightclub?
Students by the busload and the alcohol. It's coming to your neighborhood, too.
Tonight at 6.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun fried whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
The next disaster is coming. The time to get ready is now. Make a plan. Choose meetup locations and keep a contact list. Build a kit with food and water. Don't forget your pets. Keep extra medicine on hand. Make copies of key documents and keep them somewhere safe. Stay informed, learn about local hazards, and sign up for alerts. Be ready. Learn more at americares.org/send-us-in.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I named my boat Sure Don't. Get it? The other day when my friend said, "Hey Larry, you want to head back in? It looks like it might rain." I said, "Sure don't." I guess they didn't get it because they didn't laugh.
Whatever you call your boat, protect it by insuring it with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Thank you very much for your time, man. We will talk again.
Adam, anytime for you, my friend.
Thank you. I don't know why it makes me laugh. Why does it make me laugh?
I don't know. Maybe you just are used to people being mean to you or something, like Twitter. I don't know.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. John Forslund will join us at the bottom of the hour. The one and only John Forslund, who will have the call, I know, of Game 6 back in Denver between the Stars and the Avalanche. We know there will be a Game 6 because that series is 2 games apiece. Real quick, before we talk NFL draft with Ross Tucker, it has been brought to my attention that NC State baseball did a good this weekend. And look, I have paid because of all various things. I am going to be playing catch up big time at the end of the college baseball season. But how about a sweep by the Wolfpack over then number 2 Clemson? And I know Carolina, I think I saw the latest Baseball America top 25. Carolina's 3rd Clemson is still in the top 10. The Pack are in there in the top 25. But super weekend for Elliott Avent and company. A better weekend than the Sanders family had. Shiloh Sanders went undrafted. Maybe he was never going to be drafted. And Shedeur Sanders, who about, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, was thought to be a potential first overall pick, ended up going in the 5th round. We'll get to that with Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, an Ivy Leaguer, an entrepreneur, Ross Tucker podcast, Westwood One, does work for the Eagles, draws a lot of paychecks from a lot of different people, and he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. How are you, sir? It's good to talk to you.
Doing well, Adam. How about yourself, man? Always great to talk with you as well. I love that scarf.
Thank you. It's I've worn this all day. I'm a Liverpool fan. We won the Premier League yesterday, so up the Reds. That's what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me how many people are into that. And how did that start for you?
Man, my son is a goalkeeper for a club here. 16 years old, and he's into it. I just started watching it, and it caught me. It grabbed me. One day, Saturday or Sunday morning, it just grabbed me. It is an incredible spectacle. And if you love things like that, it's also kind of community. All those clubs in the UK are very much about the community. And I think Welcome to Wrexham had something to do with it. So, yeah. It's all...
It sounds like it seems like that's had a huge impact on that league. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
So, we'll have another conversation about that another time. I want to get, first of all, your thoughts on Tet McMillan, the wide receiver that went to the Panthers at number 8. There's some, talk he's kind of all over the board for certain people. What did you think of that kid?
Well, first of all, I had a chance to interview him at the Super Bowl for the Ross Tucker football podcast. I came away really impressed, and he is a big kid, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he is all of whatever he's listed at, because you see him, and one of your first reactions is, "Wow, this guy," because he's also so young looking. It's like this guy could grow into being a tight end. He's not going to, but that's almost what you think when you see him. Because I've seen guys, baby face guys that are 20 years old that have that frame that he has. To me, and I don't know if he'll come out and say it, but I got to think that Dave Canales, that a lot of this had to do with his experience with Mike Evans in Tampa, and having a receiver like that, because he was compared a lot to Evans throughout the process. Interestingly, and Greg Cosell brought this up again on today's Ross Tucker podcast, a lot of people had compared him to Drake London, who was a top 10 pick for the Falcons a few years ago, coming out of SC. Greg Cosell was very clear at him both before the draft and after. He's one of my draft gurus that I bring on. He thinks he's better. He thinks he's a better player than Drake London, thinks he moves faster, plays faster. And he said, listen, I'm not saying he's this guy. Okay, but he plays more like a Justin Jefferson type than he does a Drake London type, which obviously is a huge compliment. But I think the point he's trying to make is he can run more routes and he's better after the catch as opposed to London, who's thought of as more of like the big body contested catch guy. I think if you think of T-Mac as just a big body contested catch guy, you're probably shortchanging him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he grows into an A.J. Brown type of a receiver too. That's another big body and a big target for a team that you have some affiliation with, the Philadelphia Eagles. Ross Tucker is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, so because this is the only other story apparently people are talking about, I haven't dug into it too much other than to give my thoughts on maybe why Shedeur Sanders dropped all the way to the 5th round, because I was going to bring up your conversations with Greg Cosell. The tape matters. The tape didn't say 5th round pick, did it?
No, certainly not. Didn't hear anybody say that. The consensus of the people that I had on my show that I really appreciate and trust was late first or second.
Right.
Basically, that his physical ability was such that he would be taken in the same range as the Jimmy G's or the Derek Carr, Andy Dalton, which, by the way, just as an aside, I know Andy's down there with you guys. If you knew you were getting one of those guys, you would take him in the top 10. Those are top 15, top 20 quarterbacks for a decade.
Yeah.
Like that's very valuable. But the point is as a prospect coming out, that's where they felt like he fit into. So what happened is basically, this is just my perception. Everybody thought that Cam Ward was the best one. Or not everybody, but most people.
Right.
So he goes number one. Nobody has a problem with that. The Giants preferred Jackson Dart. And I believe a big part of that is because Jackson Dart can run. And they realized they needed a quarterback that can run. That's really not Shedeur Sanders or Tyler Shuck, for that matter. Then you get to the Saints, probably the most interesting one, because they clearly preferred Tyler Shuck to Shedeur Sanders. Now, I had several people come on the Ross Tucker podcast and say Tyler Shuck's the second best quarterback, or if you just watch the tape, Tyler Shuck looks like the second best quarterback. I don't think many of us expected him to be the second or third quarterback because of the injury history, because of the age, but the Saints went there. So once you get past those teams, now you're talking about a team that's going to be drafting him to be a backup, and this is where it's really problematic for him. Really problematic because there's so much noise around everything he does. He's a lightning rod, polarizing, whatever word you want to use. And so nobody wants the backup quarterback to be the one everybody's talking about. Nobody wants all the attention on the backup quarterback. I'm convinced that Aaron Rodgers told the Steelers, hey, if you draft him, I'm not signing. I'm convinced, because I think otherwise the Steelers would have taken him at least in the third round, right? But I think that they thought, well, we'll lose Rodgers if we take him. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted to have to deal with that. He has a bad game. Everybody's saying, put in Shedeur, put in Shedeur. Right. So I know there were teams on day 3 that have very established quarterbacks that were going to draft him just because they thought it was value at that point. And also people couldn't say, let's just, for example, he should be starting for the Eagles. Like nobody's going to say, they just won the Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Nobody's going to say that. So he fell into a really bad spot where, people were hesitant to have him as a backup because of everything that comes along with him. Almost like Tim Tebow or Colin Kaepernick.
I was writing that down.
Where people really did not want those guys unless they were going to be the starter.
The Jets were okay. I don't know how many, if the players were, with having Tim Tebow as the highest profile punt protector in the history of the National Football League. I'm going to circle back to Shedeur Sanders, to the player in a second. But what impact do you think Deion had in this whole process? Shiloh, his other son, who's a defensive back, fired Deion as his agent or somebody representing him and hired Drew Rosenhaus. So what impact did Deion have, or maybe more specifically, the show that was put on at the pro day and maybe some other things that, happened sort of behind the scenes in the whole interview process?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think it's fair to say it doesn't help at all, right?
Right.
I think reasonable minds can decide how much it hurts, but it definitely does not help. And there's even little things, Adam, I don't know whose idea it was, but when I did Colorado State for CBS, we did not get a chance to meet with Shedeur Sanders, either when I went to practice or, at the production meeting. And it doesn't mean he's a bad kid or a great kid or anything. I don't know. I never met him. I don't know. But that's not usual. That's not customary. So it's either Deion didn't want him to meet with us, or the young man didn't want to meet with us and they didn't tell him that he had to. I don't know, but that just made me wonder how many other situations and stories are there out there like that kind of got back to these teams where they were doing things very atypical from what you would expect. And then, so what happens then is you wonder, well, what's it going to be like when we get them?
Right. Look, I think all of those things definitely played a role in it. Now I get back to Shedeur Sanders, and I think, a great potential story, and maybe you can speak to this. There could be a story, maybe even for an upcoming holiday, about a 5th-round pick to stardom. Do you have a way to make that, say, a gift item, Ross Tucker?
I do, but you know what, Adam? He gets so much pub already that's the last thing he needs. You know who needs the pub? Your mom or your grandmother or your spouse, and it's called myfrontpagestory.com. I've told you about it a couple times now. I know. I am extremely passionate about telling people, especially your mom and your grandma and your significant other, how you feel about them. There's no better way than with the written word by a professional writer who interviews you and then writes this incredible story about your mom, puts a picture of her and you and your siblings or the grandkids on. It looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper. It's
awesome.
Framed. It's beautiful. I can almost guarantee she'll cry. In fact, I'll be surprised if she doesn't cry. I know a lot of you haven't thought about Mother's Day yet. Well, you are now. myfrontpagestory.com. By far the best Mother's Day gift I'm aware of. myfrontpagestory.com.
You're the best, Ross Tucker. The Ross Tucker Podcast. I appreciate your time. We will talk again soon, my friend. I appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Adam.
You got it. I thought I was setting him up beautifully with Shedeur Sanders. All right, when we come back, the one and only, the great John Forslund. We'll talk a little bit about the West. He's been in Dallas, Colorado. And also the Tom Wilson hit, which changed that game last night in Montreal. Completely changed that game. Capitals could be next up if the Hurricanes can finish off the Devils. John Forslund next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Did you know, along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country? Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
Are you living your best life? Do you know AARP North Carolina is working to make communities great for all ages? Help workers find easier ways to save, improve healthcare quality and access, and to protect important programs like Social Security and Medicare? Learn more about all that AARP is doing to help people of all ages by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Every day, people battling addiction suffer in silence. Because of stigma, they fear judgment. They fear being labeled, and too often, they don't get the help they need. But you can help change that. Join the Governor's Institute and be a superhero in the overdose battle campaign. Learn how to break the stigma, support those in need, and save lives. Visit governorsinstitute.org/superhero to get involved. Be a hero, fight stigma, save a life.
70 years ago, PBS North Carolina began its journey, and you, North Carolina, have been with us every step of the way. From the adventures of Mr. Rogers to the mysteries of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, you've inspired us to keep going. Thanks to you, we've been able to expand beyond TV, touching lives in classrooms and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. There's a major shortage of mental health professionals, especially in rural areas. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, Dr. Joseph Pino of Devant Health tells us about an exciting new program that's expanding mental health care in eastern North Carolina. He explains the need, especially among military families.
Military families frequently face moves across the country, long deployments, and added stress that comes with military life. And those experiences can lead to anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other mental health conditions. The stigma around mental health often prevents people from seeking care.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
Home runs are homers, not dingers, not jacks, not bombs. Can I use tater?
No. Can we say going yard?
Oh, yes.
Right?
If we can't exaggerate, if we can't use colorful, flowery metaphors and descriptions, why are we here?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. There's always something super compelling throughout the entirety of the first round of the NHL playoffs. This year is no different. We thought it was going to be a breeze in the East, and then all sorts of weird stuff happened. Tampa got off the mat a little bit. They still have to do it again tonight in Game 4 in Sunrise, Florida, the home ice of the Florida Panthers, the defending champs. Maybe the East goes a little bit more chalky, but the West is a complete crapshoot. John Forslund, the voice of the Kraken for TNT, had...
Hey, what do you say?
Sorry, I had to do that.
That's all right. Oh, man, now I want to talk hockey with John Forslund, the one and only. You had...
Oh, my.
How you doing?
That was terrific. Thanks, yeah.
Victoria is full of surprises.
Yeah, she is.
You had one of the great assignments, if you dig emotion, in Game 3 at Ball Arena, which I hope they call the Mason Jar, because I would, to watch Gabriel Landeskog be announced in the starting lineup and them to take the unusual step of announcing the left winger on that line last as opposed to the goaltender. And just what that building must have felt like. I've been inside that building. It's a great barn for hockey, but that must have been just, off the charts chills.
Well, yeah, but, that was the first night. And then, what ends up happening after he comes back from 3 years off and a horrific injury and an injury that most hockey players haven't come back from or even gone through that type of surgery where the cartilage is replaced in his knee. That was one step. And then the next day they practice and he's elevated in the lineup and he's on the first or second power play, however you want to look at it. And then we get to the game that we had the other night on Saturday night, and to have him score that kind of goal. And I'll tell you what, every building claims to be the loudest during the playoffs around the NHL, and certainly there's a claim to be made here and always has been, but I've never heard a building like that. The only time I heard something close to that was last season in the conference final in Edmonton when they eliminated Dallas in Game 6. That was incredible. But this din in Ball Arena when Landeskog scored and what happened afterward was a tremendous moment. And Adam, really one of the greatest comeback stories in all of sports when you look at what this kid has gone through.
3 years. He hasn't played. He missed 3 straight regular seasons. I mean, everybody thought it was over. The fact that he could come back and be an effective player. And they need effective players because they're pretty much a half of a forward group out there. I'm not trying to diminish the fourth line, which I think, or maybe it's the third line. I don't even know with the Colorado Avalanche because I think Drury and O'Connor and that group can be very effective as players. But they really rely on the top of their lineup for basically all of their scoring, and Cale Makar, of course. And I still think they're in great position to go to Dallas and win and maybe wrap it up on home ice.
Yeah, Dallas would need a healthy Miro Heiskanen on defense, and they're not going to have him tonight. They would need a healthy Jason Robertson on the first line, with Rantanen and Roope Hintz, and it looks like they're not going to have him for the entire first round. So, when you take those pieces out, it's good for Dallas. It's level. But they didn't have the puck. Maybe they had the puck 25% of the time in terms of possession the other night in Game 4. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, when Colorado feeds their lion, when their high-end players are being what they're supposed to be, there are not many teams that can play with that. And if they get saves from Mackenzie Blackwood, and he's been exceptional in this series, his first time in the playoffs for him, they're going to be tough. And the West is better. There's just better parity in the West, and we've talked about this during the season. Great teams in the East, but there's a line drawn there. And then there's the Triers, the Ottawas, the Montreals, these teams that are giving it New Jersey, giving it everything they have to try and stay afloat. But that's all they're going to do, in my opinion. The upper echelon of the East will prevail in the first round, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, my opinion of Washington changed during this series. I actually thought I picked Montreal to win that series. I thought the Tom Wilson hit won the game for Washington last night. Totally clean check of Alexander Carrier, basically at center ice, which leads to the game-tying goal. If he doesn't, basically jar the puck loose and create that situation, Washington might not have figured out how to get past Montreal in that game, but they win the game. I don't think Montreal might be able to drag it back to the Bell Center for Game 6, but I think Washington would win that anyway. But I thought that hit changed the series.
Well, Tom Wilson is the epitome of what we've said about hockey players for eternity here. You hate the player, but you'd love to have him, right? Yeah. So as much as fan bases will hate Tom Wilson and have and do, if he's on your team, trust me, if he's on the Hurricanes, every fan here would absolutely be enamored with this guy. And the Hurricanes, in my opinion, would be better and taking a further step down the road than they have shown with a player like that. So it's still the nature of the game. There's still intimidation in hockey. There's still physical play, and most of it shows up in the playoffs. And you absolutely have to have that to take the next step. And there will be a shriveling up of the opponent when faced with that on a consistent basis. And the good news for Washington is this player can play the game.
Yeah.
This player can score and fill the net along with everything else he brings to the table. So it still works.
Yeah, the thing is, his game has sort of morphed into a great player with the element of physicality as opposed to somebody who was skating around looking to take people's heads off, who could also play a little bit. He's just completely flipped the script for me as an admirer of the game. Yeah, we understand. And he admitted it, by the way, last night. Said, I've taken my share of stupid penalties. But that was a totally clean hit. The puck was there. There was zero that anybody could have complained about. We've had some other questionable hits, and Wilson is a 30-goal scorer. He got the empty net goal good for him. Let me ask you about the play that happened in New Jersey. I'm sure you've seen it. Timo Meyer into Freddie Anderson. I certainly wasn't a 5-minute major. I thought Meyer knew what he was doing, and it could have been called, should have been called on the ice, I think, initially as a 2-minute minor for goaltender interference. But the way they handled it after the fact, I thought that was the only way they could handle it.
Yeah, I did too. I really, as objective as I can be watching this, I didn't have much of a problem with the play. Let's understand something here, that most of these situations with goalie interference, most of the plays that involve contact are accidentally on purpose by the player that hits the goalie.
Right.
Okay? Most of the time, they're feeling even just a little bit of a shove, as there was on this play from Svechnikov. And then you get the frame-by-frame slowdowns of replays and angles, and then interpretation gets in there. But most of the players know, especially at this time of the year, number one, they got to get to the net to score.
Mm-hmm.
They have to screen these goalies to score. So it's a battle for ice, and if you're strong enough to get inside the D, get to the interior, they're probably going to be late on the play and give you a shove, and then when you feel the shove, most of these guys are going right into the goalie. Why would you not? And then put the onus on the officials. Then you get to what are they going to do? So they make the right call, in my opinion, by going to the 5. That gives the officials the opportunity to look at the tablet and adjust it. They did what they did. You can have a 50-50 argument on this. Roddy's incensed. He is about most calls, so he's gonna go berserk back there, and he did. And you know what? I watching that play, I didn't think there was a penalty on the play. I really didn't. I think there was enough contact there that this player was going to go into the goal, and so be it. So anyway, that's my take.
I will give Rod credit for not, like, he just rolled his eyes. I didn't see Rod, like, we go back to bubble hockey. Rod was really on one during bubble hockey.
He took it to another place.
Right.
He did go a little bit, after there was some different. It depends on which feed you're watching too.
Okay.
And I'm watching the Devils feed at the time where I was, and so they had a couple different angles. But anyway, I think he had to keep it together, which he did for the betterment of the team, because now you're putting in a new goalie, and you can't be losing your cool back there too much, because the team played so well in response to Game 3. Their start was excellent. They were dictating the game. The Devils did make a push in that second period, but it's not good enough. It's not going to be good enough in this series. Based on their injuries and just how they're playing. And the Hurricanes, it's always a race for the first goal. They get the first goal. We've talked about it. I don't think there's a better team when they're in their comfort zone. They have to have the lead to play as a group in their comfort zone. If you force them out of that, it's a little bit different. But if they score first, and if they do tomorrow night, it's over.
We talked to Sean Hill, and we're talking to John Forslund right now. We talked to Sean Hill earlier, and he said his disappointment was that there was no response to Meyer making contact with Freddie. He said, you don't have to fight, but as Sean texted me last night, there needed to be third-degree jersey burns on the back of Timo Meyer's neck.
No, 100%. It's bees on honey. It's bees on honey in the playoffs. And as soon as, and if it's your goalie, right?
Yeah.
Hilly's 100% right. I mean, if it's your goalie, it's the house rules, it's just, that's the way it is. And let the officials figure that one out, and by and large, they're going to take the high road, because they know that's what hockey players do in those circumstances. That's why we see so many scrums in the playoffs. But there has to be more of a response than that. And again, we'll see where the playoffs go for the home team here, but that's still a thing. And as they take the next step, if it is Washington, then there'll be Wilson on the other side. And if they get through that somehow, then there's maybe Sam Bennett and Matt Tkachuk and others, as you get down the road. But that's the difference, and it's still going to play out in a 2-week situation, team against team.
There is no question. We've said this for a long time, that during the regular season even, Carolina has had trouble with bigger teams that play a heavier game, because Carolina, while they have size, is not necessarily a bigger team that plays a heavier game. They play a forechecking game, which can certainly annoy, and they played Washington here in a game where Washington, I don't think Washington was sleepwalking through that game, and Carolina's speed beat Washington. And there was some feistiness in that game. Then they went up to Washington, and Washington's physicality won out. So it would be a fascinating series between those two teams, but I would like to see Carolina, and we've talked about this, you and I've talked about it here, I would like to see them get a little bit bigger and a little bit more physical and ornery, but that's just not the way they're built. But Andrei Svechnikov was on the ice at that point. Right? So maybe that should have been a response from Andrei, too.
100%. And I think, that bodes well for them if that comes up, because again, if you're game planning against this team, you're trying to push number 20. You're trying to push him out of his comfort zone. That'd be the first guy that I would think teams would game plan against physically and test him a little bit and see, where the discipline goes and see if they have something, to back that up. That's what ends up happening with other teams. And as soon as Kucherov gets touched, no matter who's in the lineup on the ice at the time, there's a response. And so, and by and large, the golden rule in hockey has been: you run our goalie, it's over. And yesteryear was a lot worse, but it's still okay.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people mentioned Al Secord on my time. Bob Probert and Al Secord got the most mentions on my timeline.
Unless you were Billy Smith as a goalie, and you could certainly handle most of the players on your own accord, right? He could do that.
Hey, Jacob Markstrom, I actually thought of Billy Smith when Jacob Markstrom tried to slash Andrei Svechnikov and ended up getting Cody Glass instead. John Forslund, before we let you go, and I appreciate your time, let me just flip it back to the West. Did the LA Kings, in some ways, I know it's 2-2, and we're going back to LA, but did in some way they blow the series last night?
They might have blown it in the previous game on the challenge. That swung the whole thing around in that game. You don't want to give Edmonton any running room, especially in their building. And, no matter what, and player for player, and based on the regular season, and from the goal out, LA's a better team. There's no question they are. But there's two players that play that doesn't matter because they're that good. And when Draisaitl and McDavid are smelling a game, feeling a game, especially in their building, they can totally take over. And when Jim Hiller went to a challenge on the Evander Kane goal in the previous game, in Game 3, when he did that, and then 8 seconds later on the failed challenge, the power play goal goes in the net, the series swung. He handed the energy, the momentum that everybody downplays, and it doesn't carry over from one game to the next. I don't know who can answer that question. Nobody can, because everybody's got an opinion on momentum, right?
Yeah.
Because it's an energy that is not defined. There's no analytic that's going to talk to us about momentum. But certainly the energy of the series all of a sudden was in one locker room and not the other, And now as we get to last night, again, Edmonton's hanging around there, and it's LA who uncharacteristically becomes passive. And the one thing they did with Jim Hiller, and that's why he got one of my votes for Coach of the Year, is he turned their team around from a defensively structured, passive team that like to hang in there and feast on mistakes to more of a skating, aggressive team that can score more and still defend and has great goaltending.
Yep.
Well, they came off their DNA last night, so now it's level as they go back to L.A. Who knows? I still think L.A. wins the series, but it's fascinating, how this can happen. And then all of a sudden, if you whet the appetite on one side and the game goes in that other direction. But you're handing it over, in Edmonton's case, Adam, you're handing it over to world-class players, and two of them, who like Colorado, that's a different ballgame. Most teams have excellent players, but they don't have players that are, in rarefied air like some of these guys are.
They're right out of like Marvel Studios. I mean, otherworldly players. There's only a handful of those guys, and the Oilers have 2 of them, which is just insane. John Forslund, the voice of the Kraken, TNT. I know you'll enjoy Game 6 back at Ball Arena because that's going to be a closeout game for somebody. I hope it's a closeout game for Colorado. I would love to see that team advance. The more we get to see from Gabriel Landeskog. And we are, selfishly watching Martin Necas and Jack Drury get a taste of Western Conference playoff hockey and enjoying that as well. So I thank you for your time.
And we're still looking for Mikko Rantanen. We haven't found him yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
exactly. I'll leave you with that. Maybe tonight's his night, but I'll tell you what. He's the new invisible man. There's no doubt about it.
It's been a tough year. I'm going to give him some grace. It's been a tough year, an emotional season for him.
Yeah, but the proof's ahead of him. It's now, and that's why they paid him. And he needs to perform tonight in a big way, and he's capable of it. But I'll tell you what, he was not a factor the other night. Most of those players were not for Dallas. But the other 2, Marty and Jack, playing really well.
Yep.
Marty, not so much until the other night. They were a little concerned about the playoff Marty.
Yes.
Okay, but it was better. And but Jack Drury's been excellent. He really has. Good for him.
A great role for him. All right, John, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Adam.
Take care. John Forslund, the one and only, the best there is. All right, as we wrap up here, and I've alluded to it a little bit, I've joked, and I joked on Twitter yesterday, you never forget your first, right? So we talked about it with Ross Tucker at the beginning of our conversation. He asked me why I was wearing the scarf. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a red scarf with green and white.
Yes, it's not because you love Christmas.
No, and it's not because I'm cold.
Yeah.
But it's support for Liverpool. And Ross asked me what was it about the sport that spoke to me. And I'm a new fan. My son is a Manchester United fan, makes fun of me. Because I don't even know what plastic fan or something like that. He makes fun of me because I'm new. He's been a fan for a lot longer. He knows more of the history than I do. But during the holiday break 3 years ago, 21-22, so 3 years ago, I became a fan. And it's awesome. And I've said this before, when you watch the Welcome to Wrexham documentaries, I don't even know how you phrase it, you realize how these clubs are really extensions of the communities where they are based. So what happened when I was watching yesterday, and to watch fans in the stands crying. I mean, I'm a Mets fan. I didn't cry in '86.
Man. Panthers win, I'm crying.
It becomes part of you, and it's different than a professional sports franchise. These clubs belong to their communities.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Need more Stanley Cup chatter, Canes fans? Listen afternoons at 12:15 and 4:15 for